NFL Plus premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
Hey, North Carolina, it's State Fair time, October 17th through the 27th in Raleigh. Homegrown happiness awaits. 11 days, just once a year. Come out and celebrate what's great about North Carolina. We've got the best deep-fried delights, the most blue ribbons ever, nearly 100 thrilling rides, and surprises around every corner. Bring your friends, bring your family, but most importantly, bring your sense of adventure. Get your discounted tickets now at ncstatefair.org. See you at the fair.
Homeowners, listen up. Loan Pronto now has mortgage rates that start with a 4. Hey, it's Dennis Cox for Loan Pronto. It's true. Mortgage rates have plummeted to lows we haven't seen in a long time. If your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner with a 4.99% APR. Whether you got your loan last week, last month, or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're in the process with another lender, stop now and call Loan Pronto. Ask about their zero-cost reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. On approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Whether it's the Hurricanes and their push for a second Stanley Cup or the first-year travails of Bryce Young and the Panthers, you get all of that and more in the Best of the Adam Gold Show, brought to you by Coach Pete at Capital Financial Advisory Group. Visit us at capitalfinancialusa.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces his way into the end zone. Touchdown!
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com.
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
Give me a PowerPoint or a Google Doc of how not to build a franchise.
Right.
The Carolina Panthers are that. And then listen, there's one other team that comes to mind in that situation. Jets, Jets.
Yeah,
okay? And let me just tell you, at the end of the day, you don't want to be following the Jets' blue plan on how to build a franchise because the Jets have not been in the playoffs since 2010.
Yeah.
Not only is that the longest drought in the NFL, Adam, that's the longest drought in the NHL, the NFL, the NBA, and Major League Baseball. So why are you doing that?
Oh, man, you never want to be lumped into a group with the New York Jets.
Who are going to be primetime again tomorrow.
Yes! They will be. Second time in 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. Just like last year, they had 6 primetime games and a bunch of other scheduled 425 games. Mm-hmm. And America had to watch Zach Wilson try to play quarterback.
Exactly. It's quite the opposite of the Panthers this year.
Yes. Although, no, not necessarily.
No, just the prime times.
Just the prime time. Yeah, exactly.
Just the prime time part.
Sunday, 1 o'clock, pretty much all year long. Yeah. Of course, not this week because the Panthers will play at 4:05. It's not even a 4:25 game.
I know.
So it's not even America's game of the week.
It's like the least primiest prime of prime.
Exactly. Oh, boy. I didn't really want to start there. And I'm not going to. How are you, Victoria? We're Wednesday.
It's good. It's hump day.
We're 2 days. It is.
And it's a Chip Patterson day.
It is. And Chip's going to join us early. A first-hour treat for Chip Patterson. We have so we're 2 days removed from the bulk of week 2. And even though we do have Jets-Patriots tomorrow for Thursday Night Football, we're, 3 or 4 days out from the bulk of week 3. Which is when the Panthers will likely disappoint us again. But that's fine. Maybe they won't.
Maybe
they won't. Maybe they'll look like a reputable NFL franchise.
Right.
Starting just after 4 o'clock on Sunday.
I mean, every now and again that dollar scratch-off works. So.
Yeah, but what's the most you've ever won with a scratch-off?
Ooh, Maybe $40.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm, but it wasn't $1. It was like a $5.
Oh no, we've never won. I don't think we usually do that. We usually throw them in Christmas stockings.
Yes, those are the best.
Yeah, I think the most anybody has ever won is like $10.
Yeah, that's usually the case. Or no, 5 is usually the go-to. But yeah, one time.
There's a fair chance that $10 winning ticket gets lost somewhere among the garbage.
Right.
So
you forget to cash it in. Yeah.
Doesn't always work. Before we start this thing, Adrian Wojnarowski for ESPN announced his retirement today.
He's done.
He's leaving ESPN, leaving sports reporting. From what I read today, 37 years as a reporter / insider / journalist, author. I've spoken to him a few times. Sometimes it was because of the NBA. Sometimes it was because of books that he had written. Wrote a book about Bobby Hurley Sr., which is just absolutely dynamite. He is one of those insiders. You could argue that he was among the very first real, deep, inside info guys in any sport. Not that we haven't had them. We have certainly had them in all sports. And whatever your favorite sport is, whether it's, if you're a hockey fan, you've got Elliot Friedman and others. If you're a baseball fan, who's your insider? Buster Olney now.
Yeah.
Jeff Passan. But we've had others there too. But Woj, he invented the Woj bomb.
He did.
Right? They put the rule in, you can't tip draft picks. Of course, we had an issue with that with the NHL draft, but I'm going to leave that alone. Anyways, he's going to go work for his alma mater, which is St. Bonaventure in Olean, New York. And he is going to be essentially their general manager of the basketball program there. And he is going to be in charge of a lot of different initiatives to help elevate the Bonnies. I mean, it's a small Atlantic 10 school with some basketball heritage. Not a ton.
Yeah.
Some basketball heritage. Trying to remember who went to. Did Bob Lanier go to St. Bonaventure? There's some NBA big man, I believe, went to St. Bonaventure. Anyway, so he's done with ESPN.
Oh.
I don't know who's going to take his place. Maybe it's Brian Windhurst. Maybe it's who knows.
It was a long run.
Now it leaves Shams Sharani as the only guy, as the resident insider. Who knows? I'm not sure that really matters, but we wish Adrian Wojnarowski well. In his, at least it's not really retirement. He's got a gig.
His new chapter.
Yeah. All right, let's go. And yes, a day in which the fire on Mint Street, the tire fire on Mint Street, is not our main focus.
Wow. Whew.
I give you a little rest. A reprieve. Although, in hour number 2, Chris McLean, Mac from Mac and Bone in the Morning on WFNZ, he will join us.
Yes.
And we will talk about, Bryce.
Yes. Maybe he could do his dance from there, even though have you seen him dancing? It's very uncomfortable, but it's great.
Yeah. It's a uniquely Mac, I think.
First time I saw it, I was like, are you okay? But okay, you have to check it out.
I love those guys. Those guys
I do
are
too.
super fun.
They're fantastic.
In the morning. All right, quickie update on some significant ACC news, and we are going to talk to David Hale about this in about an hour. The league is negotiating. This is according to many reports from Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports and David Hale, who we will speak with in about an hour. League is negotiating with Florida State and Clemson on a revamped revenue distribution model that will give those schools, theoretically, and others, the opportunity to pull a larger piece of the financial pie out. So it's tied to performance. We already have the performance initiative, which Florida State has decided they don't want this year. So we have the performance part of it, but also there is a branding TV ratings component to this, which honestly is kind of more important because the more eyeballs you draw to televisions, the more value you have, because it really is about attention. You know, if your TV ratings are better and more people are watching, then it stands to reason that the revenues will go up and that the interest in your games from the networks will also go. There's a reason, I didn't finish the sentence. There's a reason why the NFL continues to make hundreds of millions over hundreds of millions over hundreds of millions of dollars. If the NFL wanted to create a dawn Saturday package, like somebody every week is going to play when the sun comes up on Saturday, some network or streamer would pay $500 million for it because people watch. It's automatic. The average rating through 2 weeks for all games is, or average viewers for all games over the first 2 weeks, is just short of 20 million people. I can't remember the last time a World Series game got 20 million viewers. No NBA Finals game gets 20 million viewers. So that's the NFL. So it speaks to maybe the more important component of what the ACC is essentially offering here, although I believe this was a plan drawn up by Clemson and Florida State. This is what the reporting is telling us. Of course, all of this is, anonymous source, so we could keep it secret, so we don't have to talk about it publicly, but we're talking about it publicly. But it wouldn't just be football. The reports say that this would also include men's basketball, and in parentheses, this would be the bone thrown in the direction of UNC and Duke. Duke is flat out the number one college basketball property in the country. Nobody, I'm not going to say nobody is close to Duke, but nobody has eclipsed Duke over the last 15 years. Honestly, the closest to it has been Michigan State and North Carolina, Kansas, and Kentucky. But I would say Duke is a clear one, and I would say those next four are like jockeying for number two. All you got to do is go and look at, the 20 highest rated television games for college basketball. Not in the not NCAA tournament time. I'm talking about regular season games. 1 and 2 will be the two games between Duke and North Carolina. And then the others, if you went to the top 20, you'd have 9 Duke games in there. So if you're going to include men's basketball, I mean, good for UNC and Duke. It creates value for them. And this is also a way to convince some of the schools that would be inclined to say, get bent. We're not giving them more money. Just because they're threatening to leave, which they won't do because they really can't afford to. But I've said this for a long time about this particular issue. The best case scenario for all parties is that Florida State and Clemson stick around as good members of the group. It's better for them. By the way, I mean, this season is obviously an outlier for Florida State, we think.
Yeah.
But the best path for both of them to the playoff in football is here.
Yeah.
You don't want to go, no offense. I'm not trying to say that Clemson or Florida State could not compete and succeed in the SEC. Good luck.
Yeah, big fish in big pond.
Right. You would be at the mercy of the schedule, right? Now, in the ACC, even if for Florida State and Clemson, even if you drew a difficult schedule in the league, there's only so many teams that are equipped to compete with you. I'm not saying you can't lose, right? I mean, Clemson could lose to NC State this week. NC State's probably one of the 5 best teams in the league this year. But if you did the same thing over in the SEC, the 5th best team in the league, who is that? Ole Miss? Missouri? Tennessee? See what I'm saying? Like, if you're Florida State and Clemson, this is the best path. So it behooves them, and it benefits the ACC to try to keep everyone together. Now, the one element of this, and I am curious how this plays out, because there is one part of this that strikes me as, really? Part of this discussion involves ending the grant of rights, according to these reports, in 2030. Right now, the grant of rights extends to 2036. So we're talking about just 6 more seasons as opposed to 12 of the grant of rights. And if that is just a standalone thing, which basically says everybody's free to go at 2030, granted, who knows what the landscape's going to look like in 2030. It might look completely different, might be unrecognizable. But if it comes at the same time as, hey, not only is the grant of rights going to end in 2030, but our television contract with ESPN will also end in 2030. So if we shorten it to where the ACC is also going to market, maybe that will be mutually beneficial to everybody, because if the ACC, if Miami continues to be good, if Virginia Tech comes back, if Clemson and Florida State remain who they are, and if you get good performances out of some of the new members, Cal's off to a good start, SMU is going to funnel tons of money. If you've got good inventory, then the ACC's revenue will continue to go up. If all of those things converge, I think we're looking at the potential for, the league's not going to get to where the Big Ten and the SEC are in terms of dollars, but you can bridge that gap. And you can make Florida State and Clemson go, all right, we got this, we got these opportunities to earn a little bit more money. We're in the ballpark. And then we don't have to get our heads beaten in, figuratively, not literally, over the course of a football season. So, could be best case scenario for all parties. But I am eternally optimistic that this will work out and the ACC will live. Of course, there have been times where I have been eternally pessimistic about this as well. So it all depends on which way the wind's blowing. All
It's
right.
a new day.
It is a brand new day, and I'm feeling good. We live in a world where some people like to take a select group of people, of individuals, and make them the target for other people's anger and resentment, right?
Yes, very much.
We do. We live in this world.
Punching bags.
We all understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I give to you the University of Tennessee. Next year, Tennessee tickets to all Vols sporting events. This isn't just football. Whatever they sell tickets to at the University of Tennessee, all tickets will see an increase of 14.5%.
What?
Okay. Now, I want to itemize this for you. 4.5% is just a normal ticket price increase. A standard operating procedure everywhere. Most teams, schools, heck, it's $8 to go see my kid play soccer in high school.
Yeah.
I nearly editorialized about the quality of their play, but I won't.
Yeah.
It's $8 to go see.
Right.
It's my kid.
That's crazy.
I should get in free. So
Yes.
anyway, so it's a 4.5% increase. Ain't worth crying about. But remember what I said. It's a 14.5% increase. As I continue the itemization, there is a 10% increase that is termed a talent fee. A talent fee.
Interesting.
And that is exactly what you think it is. It's to go to the players.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is Danny White, who is the athletic director at Tennessee. He's the son of former Duke director of athletics, Kevin White. Quote, in this era of name, image, and likeness, there has never been as close a connection between resources and competitive success. We want to be a leader in college sports. That means we want to be a leader in revenue sharing. Okay. We know what this is about because in the settlement between House and the NCAA, which, by the way, has, to this point, has not been approved by a judge. Matter of fact, the judge told the two parties to go back and negotiate a different settlement because Claudia Wilkins was not happy with I think it's Claudia Wilkins. There have been a lot of court settlements worth talking about. She was unhappy with the settlement, but that included about a $20-ish million revenue sharing line item that would go to current and former players. All right. It is worth noting that in 2023, this is the last year we have financial records for public schools. Private schools don't have to release them, but the University of Tennessee is a public institution. So we have their financials from 2023, in which they turned a $75 million profit. This is not revenue. This is a profit of $75 million in the athletic department. This comes in the David Hale article about this. That was 2023. I'll bet it was at least that, more than likely more, last year. So my question is, how come we didn't see this when coaching salaries went straight to plaid? How come we didn't see them passing the cost of coaching salaries on to the general public?
Yeah.
Could it be? I mean, I could be wrong. I could be just looking for a straw man here. Could it be that administrators want whatever animosity is out there, and there is some animosity out there, to be directed at players? Could it be? By all means, don't look at Danny White's $2.75 million yearly salary. Don't look at Josh Heupel, the head coach, who makes $9 million. By the way, their two coordinators combined for nearly $3 million. Don't look at Rick Barnes' $5.7 million salary. The baseball coach makes $1.5 million. Don't look at any of that.
Oh, wow.
Let's look at the left tackle who gets like $400,000 in NIL money. Let's look at him.
And sneakers.
Yeah. Reprehensible behavior by the University of Tennessee. Look, if you want to add it, don't call it a talent fee. Don't give people reason to say, hey, why are we having to fork over money, our money? We don't make that. Why do we have to fork over money so you can pay a left tackle or a quarterback or a wide receiver? We know what they're doing. We know what they're doing. Heck, we ran out of time. Chip Patterson's going to join us on the other side. I haven't even talked about the Hurricanes yet. I promise you, we are carving out time for the Carolina Hurricanes, who start training camp tomorrow. I can't wait. Chip Patterson, also, I can't wait. Next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
Carolina wins it 47-45 in double overtime.
College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wake Men, Sammy's Tap and Grill, and Roofworks.
Adam Gold here for FanDuel, and this year, America's #1 sports book is giving you a chance to win big every Thursday night with FanDuel Squares. Check this out. Same Super Bowl Squares game you always have known, only way better, and frankly, you've never won it before, but you're going to win it now because now your numbers aren't randomly assigned. You pick them yourself. Pick as many as you like. You'll get to see the odds beforehand, and you can bet them live during the game. So what are you waiting for? FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Bet on Squares. Plus, if you're new to FanDuel, you can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold for FanDuel. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Doorbuster deals are coming during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Starting September 16th, save on a DeWalt 12-Volt Max Extreme Drill Driver Combo Kit or a DeWalt 12-Volt Max Extreme Impact Driver. Your choice for just $99. Plus, save $80 on a Bosch 18-Volt Brushless Cordless Impact Driver. Was $179, now just $99. Shop these deals and more before they're gone because Lowe's knows pros. Valid 9/16 through 9/18. Selection varies by location.
This September, Diamonds Direct's ultimate offer is back, stronger than ever. Diamonds Direct helps you get the perfect jewelry gift with 0% interest. That's right, enjoy 5 years of 0% financing on any Diamonds Direct purchase. It's your chance to get her the perfect ring with 0 interest and comfortable monthly payments that fit your budget. But act fast. This offer ends September 30th. For details and more, visit diamondsdirect.com. Spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest on approved credit. Only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
Y'all want to hear about the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford? Well, if you're age 50 or over, you can save hundreds when you switch. Are you ready for some exclusive discounts too? Phone's in the air now. We're going to sign you up, baby. Go to visithartfordauto.com today for your free quote.
When you're with the Hartford, the Bucks got your back. Provided by Hartford Fire Insurance Company, not AARP or its affiliates. Individual savings vary. The Hartford pays a royalty fee to AARP, which is used for external purposes. For information and restrictions, go to thehartford.com.
This is Adam Gold.
Victoria, you played sports in high school, right?
Oh, yeah. Basketball, and I swam.
Could you imagine competing for $1 million?
No.
$1 million.
No. I competed for plastic trophies.
I was also a high school athlete, baseball player. No, and I could never even imagine it.
No.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show.
I know your face.
I'm curious.
I even warned Chip why I was going to play this song today. Because it's National Cheeseburger Day.
Oh, is it? I did not know that.
So it's the perfect day to play this song.
I did not know that. So as we bring in the one and only Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com Cover 3 podcast moderator. It's an early Chip today. I didn't have to wait until 1:15 to make my day. Do you have a favorite cheese to go on your best cheeseburger?
Oh, cheddar.
Cheddar,
yeah.
Basic.
Yeah, it's a cheeseburger. Okay,
right.
Now, are we gonna venture into like a patty melt world. Like, do I enjoy a pepper jack?
Ooh,
Nice. Spiced up with a little bit of onions, tomatoes, and avocado. Yeah,
avocado. You are such a modern man.
But you asked me for my number one, right down the middle. Because I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna show up to your house and be a cheese snob. You know,
my kid's an American cheese fan, and like he would rather me pull it out of the plastic wrapping. I'm like, come on.
This is a very specific reference, but there are if you go up to Lake Gaston, just north of us here in Raleigh, there is a small little shop where among the little trinkets that you can get is really, really good hoop cheese, like a really awesome hoop cheddar that's just very much like a lot of time and love has been put into it. And so when we go to my friend Davis's lake house, part of it would always be to go get cheese from this spot for the most delicious cheeseburgers that you could possibly have.
There you go. I'm not even going to argue. Cheddar cheese is perfect. It is the gold standard. So let us talk about college football. All right. So on Friday, I kind of previewed the weekend ACC schedule in this manner. Who among ACC football teams will disappoint us this week? And for a while, it looked like NC State was going to be the chief disappointer.
Sure.
But
what an honor.
They rallied.
Yeah.
Florida State might have retired the trophy. So what gives with the Seminoles? They can't be this bad. Maybe, look, I think Memphis is probably good, but they're 0 for 3. They haven't lost to a team that is likely going to challenge for a playoff spot. And they've lost 2 of those games at home, and they have looked not good in any of them. So what gives?
One, they're banged up. Like, they are down to more or less tackle number 5 and tackle number 6. On the Cover 3 podcast, Bud Elliott, who's got his pulse on all the minutia of Florida State, was like, I would not bet this one way or the other unless you were on the field watching warm-ups. If these guys do warm up, then this line's too little. Florida State should be able to get right. They should be able to run the ball. If these guys don't warm up, well, then Memphis might be live to win the game outright. They are dealing with really, really big issues along the offensive line. They also are injured at the running back position. Their wide receivers are underdeveloped and have not hit. They just are not good. The thing you said first is correct, though. Memphis is good.
Yeah.
Memphis is good. Like, here, let me see. Memphis is good that if you dropped them in the ACC, they would be at like a Virginia Tech Cal level. Nobody would make an argument that they were up there competing with Miami and Louisville and Clemson. But if you dropped this Memphis team into the ACC, they'd be maybe the 5th best team in the conference. And so Florida State is not. Florida State might be the 10th best team in the conference.
Gosh.
That's what they are.
This is coming at a bad time for Florida State. Although the ACC has thrown them a bone, I don't know how much you want to get into this part of the conversation because I know it's not necessarily your wheelhouse. I know you have thoughts. But when I looked at and read all the reporting on this, and this, for people who are just tuning in, there's a negotiation apparently between the league and both Florida State and Clemson, and it will obviously have to incorporate the rest of the league too, to kind of revamp the revenue distribution to give Florida State and Clemson the schools that carry the flag financially in terms of television interest for football. Give them a little bit more money, but it's going to bring basketball into this equation as well. In this whole thing, which also includes apparently the ending of the grant of rights 6 years earlier than we know is true in 2036, doesn't it also have to open up television negotiations or end the television deal? How do you have your grant of rights end 6 years before the television package ends? How does ESPN sign off on that?
I can only assume that ESPN is very much a part of this.
Right.
Obviously not privy at all to ESPN's position, but my understanding, even I think it's been said publicly, is that the additions of Cal, Stanford, and SMU did not receive blessing up and down the leadership structure. It has created a financial situation for the ACC where they could do the success initiatives. And the way that I read this proposal is that everyone takes a haircut in order of their guaranteed money in order to create another pot for ratings-based initiatives. So you're continually creating this environment where in a true meritocracy, anybody could get some of these pots. But in the real world, it is created to have a fast pass to a bigger payday for these big brands that generate revenue and generate ratings for the conference. In terms of moving up the grant of rights, I tend to read this one as a concession that there might be a huge seismic change when all of the other TV rights come up.
Right.
And we've talked about this before. Was it 29, 30, 32? Like it brings the Atlantic Coast Conference more in line with what might be a massive restructuring of college football at the highest levels when we head into the 2030s.
Yeah, and I think we will have a massive restructuring of college football. So, I kind of joked, ending the grant of rights in 2030, we might not get to 2030 before the whole thing blows up anyway. We might have a completely different system by 2027 for all we know. That's just the way I look at it. I think we're careening towards something like that. So also, if according to these reports, like the league is negotiating with ESPN now because the ACC network has been financially successful for ESPN and the league. It's why the ACC distributed almost $45 million to all member institutions at the end of not this past season, but the season before. That number is going to go up. So I can see where ESPN might look at this as, hey, this has been good, and we think it's going to get better, and we want the ACC to be successful and viable. So they kind of control maybe how that looks. So I'm probably more optimistic now about the future of the league, at least in the current environment, than I ever have been, especially since everything I know about these lawsuits say the ACC's got the upper hand, and I think they're kind of extending an olive branch, even though this was a Clemson and Florida State proposal.
That happened a while ago. That's an important detail here.
This offer from Clemson and Florida State?
This is a revisiting of a discussion at spring meetings in 2023.
Right.
And I do think that some of the storytelling around this has been maybe not making that as clear.
Oh, okay.
And I think that Florida State and Clemson, I don't know. We'll see. Look, here's the best way to describe this is to put yourself in the position of Syracuse, which is if you enter into a world where things, tumble and Florida State, Clemson decide to pay their way out of the league, maybe more follow, everything sort of goes thrown into chaos. Well, now you're left with a valuation that's probably closer to an American Athletic Conference team. And if you're dealing with a valuation closer to an American Athletic Conference team, then you're probably going to get an American Athletic Conference type payout, which is somewhere around the, I think, 10 million mark. So would you be willing to drop from 45 million to 35 million in order to guarantee that you avoid total chaos and being left with something much less? And that is the discussion. I don't know if this was a trial balloon for university presidents who are famously not emotional with their thinking. I don't know if I don't understand leaking this story the way they did right now, but we'll see.
All right, let's get to some football matters. State at Clemson. Clemson thumped App, took the week off after that. Clemson hadn't played a close game yet. They got thumped by Georgia, thumped App. By the way, I love the App ECU game. Was super fun to watch over the weekend. Most fun I've had watching.
Not a clean game.
No, it was ugly. Look, I am not one of those people who worships at the altar of every college football game. Most college football games are scratchy, right? There are very few college football games where I go, oh my gosh, the level of football here was amazing. But it was competitive. There was a massive mood. So I loved the game. NC State Clemson. We're going to find out what I shouldn't even say that because they could go to Clemson and get thumped, and I don't know that says that CJ Bailey is not right. But, I mean, this is a stage. The comeback was great, but that was Louisiana Tech, and it was your home crowd. Now you're going to Death Valley, and I still think Clemson has a point to prove to a lot of people. What is NC State in for?
If NC State can't block, they're in trouble.
Right.
I mean, I know Clemson's a little bit banged up at linebacker. I know that they've got a couple of issues along the defensive line. They still have game wreckers that are going to be a problem for an NC State offensive line that has not played with the kind of consistency that you would hope for, especially given that group's experience and seemingly, where they are in their development. If they can't block, then I guess you're glad that CJ Bailey can make some plays, but man, that's going to be tough for a young quarterback on the road going up against this Clemson defensive front if you're not getting dynamic play from your offensive line, because all those downfield throws that CJ Bailey was making during the comeback against Louisiana Tech, you are simply not going to have time to make those throws if you are not able to keep Clemson's defensive front at bay. On the other side, it is 100% a great test for whether or not we are going to buy into Clemson's offense. Because you mentioned the differing levels of what we have seen. Okay, maybe that was Georgia. Okay, but maybe that was App State. And I think that NC State, because they are so well coached, are going to be a very good harbinger of what's to come for Clemson's offense. Because Clemson does have more talent than almost every single team in the ACC and certainly most of the teams on the ACC schedule. But that talent advantage does not help them be able to overcome a defense like Tony Gibson's, which has led to NC State victories in 2 out of the last 3 times that these teams have met, which has not helped them when they played Lance Guidry in Miami last year, and they were kept in check by a Hurricanes defense that was limiting what they were able to do. So a great, we actually just mentioned this before we got started on the Cover 3 podcast. Bud Elliott described it as a one-way read. He says, I don't know if win or lose, my opinion changes on NC State. I think that no matter what happens, my opinion will change on Clemson. And so that's the national perspective.
By the way, Clemson is a 20.5-point favorite today. 20.5.
I know.
That is a staggering number based on what we thought about the Wolfpack going into the season. All right, we only have a couple of minutes left, so I want to roll through some games here. UNC, incredible deceptive scoreline, 45-10 for a game that was 17-10 entering the fourth quarter against Central. JMU, I don't know that they're vintage JMU. Tar Heels are a 10.5-point favorite at home. What's the danger here for the Tar Heels?
Losing.
They could lose the game, absolutely.
Losing. Do you think Jacoby Criswell's starting?
Yes, I do. I don't believe that Mac Brown's going to. He could use 2 quarterbacks in this game if they have a lead to give create a change of pace. But I didn't believe that Mac Brown was going to use 2 quarterbacks in the opener, and I don't believe he'll use 2 quarterbacks here.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Jacoby comes in and things finally start to click. I don't know if it was he knows exactly, this set of, what he wants to do. It It is a nothing. Duke's in the same position against Middle Tennessee. Like one of my new exercises has been to take every FBS and FBS game and just come up with a one-liner.
Right.
And like one-liner for UNC JMU. Nothing good can happen for UNC. One-liner on Duke Middle Tennessee. Nothing good can happen for Duke. It is, and especially because they're playing each other next week, right?
Right.
Like all they need to do is to preserve the 0 in the loss column by any means necessary. JMU, coached by Bob Chesney, is good enough to win in Chapel Hill. Chesney was very, very good at Holy Cross, and while they lost half their roster and their whole staff, JMU is still good enough to win that game if North Carolina doesn't play to its abilities. So it ain't a must-win, but it is a can't-lose for the Tar Heels and the Blue Devils.
Yeah. All right. Now, is Miami in a spot at South Florida, who gave Alabama everything for 3 quarters in Tuscaloosa?
100%.
Is this the Mario Cristobal game here?
I hope not. I mean, that would be very disappointing. I mean, I guess it would be great for our friend Michael Kelly, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, for the North Carolina resident South Florida Bulls athletics department fans, or Byron Brown from Raleigh. You know, their dynamic dual threat quarterback who's been very good. I think that right now Miami and Texas A&M are being propped up by beating Florida in the swamp, and Florida might be awful.
Yeah.
And we are going to find out over the next couple of weeks for both of those teams whether their dominance is reflective of how good they are or whether Florida is just an absolute tire fire.
Yeah.
Toxic fumes and all.
Does the state of the 2 state schools in Florida, 2 big state schools in Florida, although Central Florida is actually bigger than both, Florida State and Florida, they don't have any wins, right?
Florida beat Samford.
Oh, I'm sorry, they beat Samford. The Seminoles are just 2.5-point favorites at home to Cal. I present that without any editorial comment.
Cal won at Auburn. Cal has one of the best non-conference wins in the whole Atlantic Coast Conference.
I'm with you.
And look, the Florida State is not gifted enough offensively to overwhelm anybody. And so what they're doing in the Memphis game, in the Georgia Tech game, and maybe not in the Boston College game, because Boston College just kind of ran them over. And that was just like embarrassing.
Yep.
But the Memphis game and the Georgia Tech game just show that Florida State's going to be left playing coin flips. And the problem is that coin flip Cal is built for that kind of game. So congratulations, Florida State. You are left to just out there playing coin flips.
Who will disappoint us this week? Chip Patterson never disappoints. My friend, Cover 3 Podcast at Chip_Patterson. I appreciate your time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.
One-timers. Gosh, the best part of my Wednesday. Best part of my week. We'll have question and answer when we come back. It's one-timers next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Last call. This offer is almost over. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon at a market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. FanDuel.com/AGS. Download America's #1 sportsbook today. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook for a reason. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will be automatically charged seasonally after free trial. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Everyone goes through tough times, and everyone can get through them, as long as they don't have to do it alone. Dial 988 if you need someone to talk to. Get what you need to get to a better place. Together, we'll find the care that works best for you. We're here 24/7. Call, text, or chat 988. 988. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
When the power goes out, your life is disrupted. Heat, air conditioning, refrigeration, phones, all gone. Be prepared for the next outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Power your life with a Generac home standby generator. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
You don't need a 4-year degree to have a rewarding career that makes a difference in people's lives every day. As a public power line worker, you'll build and maintain a locally owned and operated electric system to keep the lights on in your community. 4 months in a community college program provides the training you need to begin your career as an apprentice line worker in public power. And being a local government employee in North Carolina comes with excellent benefits. To learn more about line worker and other public power careers, visit electricities.com.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
When you're high, you feel different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So don't drive high. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is Adam Gold.
We had lightning hit a pretty large tree.
Oh, yeah.
About 150 yards from the house. It'll be my sign to go win the lottery. But You know what? I'm sorry, I can't. I have rules. If it's not over $1 billion, I'm not playing.
Yeah, still just millions.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold, Victoria producing the program. David Hale from ESPN. Covers the ACC, but also just the sport of college football. We will talk to him about his reporting on the ACC negotiating with Clemson and Florida State on a revised revenue distribution policy structure. I don't know what to call it. We'll let him term it. Also, he'll explain why DJU isn't good at quarterbacking, if he has time. We have that coming up at 1:00. Also, Chris McClain from WFNZ in Charlotte. We'll talk to Mac about the Bryce Young saga, and is it, from his perspective, is it over for Bryce and the Panthers? I contend it is. We'll find out what he thinks. Right now, it's one-timers.
Okay, so since you mentioned Bryce, I only have one Bryce question for today.
Okay.
So, some people, like you mentioned, say it's over for Bryce. Some say benching him is good for him, that it might ignite him and spark him into a better player. From what we've seen and what we know of Bryce, do you think Bryce is even the type of guy to use this as motivation, or will it just drag him down further?
I mean, I don't think it's going to drag him anywhere. I think he is who he is. He is very calm. He was calm as a player. He was calm and kind of unemotional just to listen to talk. But I don't know how it gets him better, because he's not going to get reps unless they continue to give him reps as a number one quarterback, which, by the way, the Patriots are doing with Drake May while Jacoby Brissett is the starter. May is getting a lot of looks in practice from what I've been able to hear. So maybe the Panthers will do that with Bryce Young, but I believe that they have decided that he is not it, or I shouldn't say they. David Tepper has decided that Bryce is not it, and that's fair. His team, he can do what he wants. And I think if you were Dan Morgan, you'd be on the phone trying to see if you can find somebody who would like the opportunity to resurrect him.
Yeah. Well, staying with our division, the NFC South, now that we're seeing the New Orleans Saints dominate in their last two games in Atlanta, not quite as sharp as maybe we thought it would be. Do you think the Saints are now more in position for getting the division at the end?
In the history of watching the NFL, rarely do things like this stay. The Saints could end up being the best team in the league. The Falcons, to me, didn't look like a division-winning caliber football team, even though they did win at Philly. And we know that the Panthers are not. The Buccaneers might be that team, to be honest. But I've always thought that the NFL really is three different seasons. It's the start, which there's a lot of teams that get off the fast starts, 5 or 6 games in, and then there is the slog of the middle. How do you overcome injuries? And then at the end, we see the best teams play their best football. So we're not even halfway through the start yet. Let's see what they are after 4 weeks. But I wouldn't be surprised if the best team ended up being Tampa.
Well, and this is another prediction question. So some now are saying that Aaron Rodgers and company will be more dangerous as the season goes. Others might think the opposite, that it's only a matter of time until things fall apart and or he gets injured again. What do you think is most likely to happen in this situation, or is there a third option?
No. Look, I didn't think they were a playoff team to begin with. I don't think their defense is as good as it was a year ago, and they haven't looked like a team that was really good enough running the ball yet. See how their running game goes. If they can run the football, they'll be fine, and they'll push for a playoff spot. But I don't see them challenging. Now, Miami's stinking, certainly. I mean, because they're going to stink without Tua. Skylar Thompson ain't the guy. So maybe that'll benefit the Jets in the playoff run, but yeah, I don't think they're as good as Mike Greenberg thinks they are. But I've never thought that. David Hale, one of the best in the business covering college football. He will join us next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
We're in the lull of the week where we can prepare for another weekend of sports, or maybe you're feeling good about a prediction for a future bet. I'm Victoria Vodnecker here for BetMGM, and tomorrow we'll have another primetime game for the Jets as they take on the Patriots, which currently the Patriots are a big underdog at plus 225, and the spread right now is set at 6.5, but we've seen some crazy football this weekend, so maybe this game interests you if you like riding with the underdogs. But whether it's the Thursday night football game, baseball, soccer, or hockey that's just around the corner, when you use the BetMGM app, you'll see options like betting the money line, same-game parlays, live bets, prop bets, and BetMGM has reoccurring daily promotions for day of games. All brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today and please gamble responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only, North Carolina only. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The new bonus edition Buck Scratch-Off's got a first-ever bonus game in the Outback.
You mean on the back, not Outback.
What's on the back?
The bonus game.
Then what's on the front?
Prizes up to $1 million.
I thought the game was called Bucks.
It is. Just forget it.
Crikey, mate, don't go telling people to forget it. The whole point is for them to be remembering it.
The all-new bonus edition Buck Scratch-Offs from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 3.81 to 4.75. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Hey, North Carolina, it's State Fair time. October 17th through the 27th in Raleigh. Homegrown happiness awaits. 11 days, just once a year. Come out and celebrate what's great about North Carolina. We've got the best deep-fried delights, the most blue ribbons ever, nearly 100 thrilling rides, and surprises around every corner. Bring your friends, bring your family, but most importantly, bring your sense of adventure. Get your discounted tickets now at ncstatefair.org. See you at the fair.
Veterans, did you know VA mortgage rates have plummeted and you can now access up to 100% of your home's equity and turn that into cash right now? Hey, it's Roger Moore, President and CEO of Loan Pronto, announcing our VA Equity Advantage program. This VA offer can get you $50, $70, $100,000 cash out with no junk fees and no hassle, with APRs in the 5s. You can pay off all those credit cards, personal loans, car loans, and get one easy-to-manage payment. Veterans we help save on average $850 per month. And listen, if you're a veteran with a current mortgage rate over 6.25%, we can do a streamlined refinance with no income verification and no appraisal, saving you hundreds a month. At Loan Pronto, we respect what you've done for our country, and we show it. Call now and ask about our special VA Equity Advantage program. 919-381-1760. 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. 919-381-1760.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org.
The North Carolina Courage is the only professional women's soccer club in the world to bring home gold, silver, and bronze medals this year. And you could win a season ticket package including 4 tickets to every home game in 2025. Visit WRAL.com and search Courage to enter.
It's Tim Donnelly for Window Nation. Did you know that most of your home's cold AC this summer leaked out through your old windows? Save money year-round with energy-efficient ones from Window Nation. Right now, buy 2 windows and get 2 free. Plus, pay nothing for 24 months. Love your windows like Albert, who says great value, great product, and great customer service. Hurry, sale ends September 30th, so schedule a fast in-home estimate right now at 866-90NATION or at windownation.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
My good friend Mark Schlereth always says it's one thing to hire a coach, but it's another thing to empower a coach. And if you hire a coach and you don't empower him, then he's not really a head coach in any way, shape, or form. I don't have any hard evidence to suggest that I know that David Tepper said we're benching this guy.
Right.
But 24 hours after the head coach says he's still our quarterback and suddenly he's benched, that sure sounds like somebody else said, hey, we're doing this way. And that, to me, is the bigger, broader issue for the Carolina Panthers.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. We are going to get to all things Bryce Young and the tire fire that is the Carolina Panthers in about 20 minutes. Chris McLean, Mac from Mac and Bone in the Morning on WFNZ. But many of us saw the news yesterday. I mean, I had seen rumblings and I'd seen kind of hints at it on Twitter, but it's now become a full-blown news item that the Atlantic Coast Conference has entered into, triple secret new negotiations with Clemson and Florida State for a revamped revenue distribution model, which includes, hey, if people like to watch your school play sports on the television, we might give you extra cash. Anyway, David Hale or David M. Hale, you can go to his personal website for real good insight, or follow him on Twitter at a David Hale Joint. He has been one of those people reporting this story out, and I thought, well, I've got David's number. Let's see if he can talk to us. So he can. David, how you doing, man?
I got to change my number. I don't know.
Look, if I were you, I would do it.
Yeah. No, I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm always pleased to do that. I wanted to ask you, because off the top, you're talking about Panthers. Now, I want to. Do you think there's like a hefty chunk of like Panthers / Florida State fans out there that are just the most miserable human beings in the world right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. There are those people. I know people who fall into that category, and I can't imagine what they must be going through right now. Because Florida State might be the most disappointing football team. We knew the Panthers weren't going to be good.
I mean, there's a decent chance we get to like November and neither one of them has won a game yet. Like that's not unreasonable.
No, and again, we just talked to Chip Patterson, and I'm blown away. Look, I know Cal's good, but I am blown away that Florida State is a 2.5-point home favorite over Cal. I guarantee a month ago, before the season started, if you looked at future betting lines, that line had to be 20, 25, something like that.
Yep. Times are a-changing.
All right, so tell me how times have changed from the perspective of maybe the ACC or where Florida State and Clemson sit, because my understanding is that it's not necessarily a new idea from the Clemson-Florida State perspective. Why would Jim Phillips and the league get involved in a negotiation to not only give Florida State and Clemson more money when they don't have to, but also willingly shrink the grant of rights to not cover the entirety of the television package?
Yeah, I think the short answer to that is they probably won't.
Okay.
We can call this negotiations, and I guess in a technical sense they are. But I also want to preface this by saying, like, this is very early stage. This is sort of like if I said, you know what, I would like $1 million to come on this show when I come on the show. Now, the fact that you didn't just hang up on me would signal we're in negotiations.
Sure.
But there's very little chance that is going to be the end result of these negotiations is what's out there right now. And that's kind of where they're at. So, yes, these conversations have probably been going on for years, but really bubbled up to a larger sense about a year and a half ago at the ACC spring meetings, which we eventually left with the Success Initiatives plan, which basically all of these things were brought up by Michael Alford at Florida State, saying, like, we need more money. The schools that are trying to win at football deserve more. I think, based on winning, going to bowl games, going to the playoff, going to the NCAA basketball tournament, and TV ratings, those should be factors in who gets the most share of the pie. Well, the other things were stuff that everybody else eventually agreed to, except for the ratings thing, which was kind of a non-starter with most of the ADs in the room. Now, since then, obviously, you have had the lawsuits. You have the ESPN option where they can pick up that's sort of dangling over everybody. I think everybody is sort of looking at these lawsuits and saying, like, what is the end point here? Because bare minimum, we're probably a year and a half to 2 years away from even getting through like an appeals process.
Right.
If there is a verdict, and like none of that guarantees anybody leaves happy. So is there a way that we can kind of help the ACC brand by making the family happy again, that everybody gets a little of something that they want to save face, and we secure the future of the league, at least for the near term? And I think I should also preface all of this by saying, like, nobody knows what college football is going to look like 6, 7, 8 years down the road. Like, things are changing so quickly now, and I think everybody sees a point in which they change a good bit more. So a lot of this is about how do we bridge between today and whenever that happens to make sure that we can exist financially as is, and we are nimble enough down the road to move as the foundation under us changes as well. So Florida State and Clemson kind of brought this back up. I don't know if folks are sort of aware. It was sort of a default move, but in the case in Florida, in Leon County, Florida, the judge requires the sides to go to mediation.
Right.
This has to happen in every one of these trials that are like this. They go to mediation, and it's sort of like, hey, well, is there a way that we could solve this? And Florida State and Clemson say, well, like, all right, here's maybe an idea. And that idea is you pay us more money if we have better ratings. And, of course, this wouldn't apply just to Florida State and Clemson. It could be true of North Carolina or whomever. But those two are going to get better ratings on, year in and year out basis on average. And so and then tied to that is maybe we reduce the grant of rights. I think the latter part is a complete pipe dream at this point because it would really open up a lot of other cans of worms. But the big idea on that is if teams can move at a time when other leagues' TV rights agreements are coming up, it allows that sort of nimbleness at a likely inflection point time for college sports. I have not heard from anyone at the ACC who seems to think that's a great idea. Now, who knows how things change? And then, of course, as I mentioned, there's the ESPN option, which would look a lot more enticing if you are certain that Florida State and Clemson are sticking around.
Right.
So there's some incentives for all sides to find a workable solution here. But the last sort of thing I would say on this is that this has been viewed by a number of the school presidents and discussed in these board leadership meetings. Like most of the ADs, in fact, all of the ADs that I've talked to have not actually looked at a document that says, here's our proposal.
Yeah.
So like we are at a starting point, not at all like farther down the road on negotiation.
Yeah, it's almost like a game of telephone at this point. David Hale from ESPN.com is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Number of things, we don't have a ton of time left, obviously, but the grant of rights, to me, it would make sense to shorten that to 2030 only if the television contract ended in 2030. It doesn't make any sense to have the grant of rights and the television contract length be of different lengths. So you can't have a TV contract that lasts through 2036. ESPN ain't going to be happy about that. Now, if they decide in this look-in, which is ESPN must commit by February of 2025, so this upcoming February, if ESPN says, yeah, we're all in, maybe at that point there's simply a redoing of the television deal, which shortens the deal and ends it at 2030, but and also ends the grant of rights. Maybe that whole thing is tied in, and I agree with you because I talked about this earlier. If you're the ACC or any league and you end your grant of rights by 2030, the chances of us getting to 2030 without another seismic move in college football, I don't even think there's no Venn diagram where those two circles meet. We're going to have a drastic change in what the sport looks like well before 2030, in my opinion. So if it ends in 2030, fine, we ain't going to get there. So let me throw this, because there was, I think you talked about it in your piece, that basketball may be involved. Is that a way to get like the North Carolinas and the Dukes involved in saying, hey, that would be cool if we get a little extra because, especially in the case of Duke, they're always the number one TV property in college basketball.
Right, and that's exactly what this is. And, one of the things because I've been sort of digging around on this concept for a while now, and as I've talked to a lot of folks who are not currently suing the ACC, like, would you be open to doing something like this, whatever it looks like? One of the answers has always been like, well, if we give Clemson and Florida State what they're asking for, what is stopping North Carolina from saying, like, all right, let me file our lawsuit so we can get more too? Like, there are other schools that have value, and so you have got to be able to recognize brand equity on a wider scale. And that, of course, football is what drives revenue. And I think in general, if you look at TV revenue, TV distribution, it's 80-20 football. But that 20 for basketball is not insignificant. And I think can be enough to make an impact for particularly a school like Duke or Virginia even, or North Carolina, NC State, that play a high level of basketball and will be playing meaningful games late into the season more often than not. So, this is about building a consensus, but it's also got to be, I think one of the things that I'll be interested to see how it looks, is like to build enough consensus, which let's say you need 2/3 majority vote to get this, like, are you just moving around deck chairs a little bit? And at the end of the day, to get consensus, like, you watered it all down so much that it really doesn't make that big of a difference.
Right. And honestly, you only have to convince two schools, right? You've only got to convince Florida State and Clemson. that this is the best home for them, and we're going to close on that. But I mean, did you insinuate that people want to watch Virginia basketball? Come on. All right.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of masochists out there. I don't know.
David Hale, final question. Because this is becoming public now, is it fair to say that there are people who are realizing in Tallahassee and in Clemson that we have to figure out a way to make this not seem like we just realized that there's no better place for us than the ACC? Because I've always said, Florida State and Clemson, your path to the playoff isn't any better anywhere than right here. And the ACC is better with those two schools in it, obviously. So don't we really have to figure out a way to get everybody to get along?
Yeah, in some ways it's like a bad marriage, right? Like, I don't know, divorce is going to be much messier than this. Like, we've been in it together this long. We'll die eventually. Let's just stick it out. I think there's two sides to that. I mean, look, frankly, if there was no grant of rights and if the SEC proffered an invitation, I think FSU and Clemson would jump at it. Like, I just think that's reality. But that's not what reality is in terms of the details. And so the fight is high. And to your point, I mean, it just cannot be overstated enough how much easier the path to the playoff is to stay where you are in the ACC, where you are clearly the two biggest fish in the football pond here. I mean, even if you go to the Big Ten, you're still dealing with Penn State and Ohio State and Michigan, and those schools are going to come treading on your recruiting territory and all that stuff too. But, I think there is a flip side to this, and this is one of the things that I've talked to some folks about, both at Clemson, Florida State, and at other schools in the ACC, that there is a growing concern about branding league-wide and what that means to recruiting and to other monetary partners, other stakeholders. Is like, you're going to recruit a 4 or 5-star athlete. Does he want to come and play in the ACC where half of his games are on CW or ACC Network Extra or whatever, or does he want to go to the SEC where it is sort of viewed in a larger sense as the big boy league? Do you want to play AAA ball or big league ball? And I don't necessarily think that's fair, but it is certainly a narrative that's out there, and it is certainly a thing that SEC schools are using on the recruiting trail. So I think there's part of like absolutely everything comes down to talent acquisition right now. Yeah. And so that's what money is all about, but the brand matters too. And so I think there's a little bit of that of like, we're going to have to take some good with some bad here and look at, on the whole, do we end up in a better place? And so the dollars are going to have to work out for Florida State and Clemson to make them feel like this is definitely like a newer approach to the ACC is the better place for them. Otherwise, they're going to keep fighting exactly as they're fighting now.
A David Hale joint on Twitter. You can also see an archive of his work at davidmhale.com. David Hale from ESPN. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate your time. Don't change your number.
If I do change it, I will let you know. There's other people I gotta exercise.
Gotta weed it out.
The Rolodex. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much, David. I appreciate it, man.
See you, man.
You got it. David Hale here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, when we come back, we're going to get the pulse. We're going to actually I'm going to put 3 fingers on the wrist of Chris McClain, and we're going to take his pulse on Bryce Young and the saga.
Yeah.
The Young and Canales. We should play that theme music when he comes on. Anyway, gotcha. Chris McClain next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
When you just start to look at the impetuous decisions that owner David Tepper has made, you got to call him the genesis of the problem. He's the issue with the Carolina Panthers. They are the worst run franchise in all of pro sports. At some point, you have to address the source of the dysfunction, and that is the owner.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Adam Gold here from my man, Coach Pete D'Arruda, Capital Financial Advisory Group in Apex. He is a retirement planning specialist. So if you are thinking about retirement and it doesn't make a difference where you are on the employment spectrum, it's always a good idea to think about retirement. You have a 401k program that you contribute to, right? Well, let's get with Coach Pete D'Arruda, and we're going to make it worth your while. Coach Pete D'Arruda has a total customized retirement plan for you. He will design it for you specifically, but you have to meet with him. So let's call 888-843-0013. It's a $1,000 value. I'm giving it to you today for free, but you have to call today. 888-843-0013, or you can text my name, Adam, to 600-700. Same thing. Same free total customized retirement plan, so we can help you get to retirement with everything you need to retire on your terms. Capital Financial Advisory Group in Apex, 888-843-0013. Call today.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Connection, opportunity, possibility. It's what we all want. Spectrum has built a world where anything is possible, with products and services designed to work better together for a seamless connectivity experience. A connection to family and friends, a connection to education, and a connection to new opportunities. So there's no limit to how big we can dream. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Are you in charge of running the building maintenance plays at your workplace? If you're facing roofing issues, you gotta get RoofWorks into the game. Hi, this is Holly with RoofWorks. You can count on us to be your MVP when it comes to taking care of your commercial building roof. We handle leaky roof repair, coatings, total replacements, upfits, and we even do commercial gutters. Let us show you what a valuable addition we are to your building maintenance team. Contact us today online at roofworks.com. That's roof, WERKS.com.
There's a price war in the insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call the Term Lifeline right now and see if you can save 40%. $500,000 plans and up, that's our specialty. Even great smokers' rates. Protect your family today. Call the Term Lifeline right now for a free quote. 866-509-TERM. 866-509-TERM. 866-509-TERM.
This is Adam Gold.
Maybe at some point after repeated losing, David Tepper will get out of the way.
Yeah, it's going to be on my Christmas list every year until it happens. So, there.
I wish I could give you that.
I wish
I could put a bow around that.
Oh,
for you,
me
Victoria.
too.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold, Victoria producing the program. I'm going to Charlotte next week for a soccer event. And I was bummed to find out that the Charlotte FC is actually going to be at Inter Miami. Why couldn't it be the other way around? I know people. I could have copped tickets to that game. But no, they're going to be on the road. I haven't had too many opportunities to check out Charlotte FC, playoff team, Dean Smith. Fortunately, Mauricio Pochettino has been named U.S. men's national team head coach, so the national team doesn't have to steal Dean Smith. Chris McLean at MacWFNZ in Charlotte joins us on the Adam Gold Show. That was a long setup for no real reason. How are you?
What's up, brother? Big FC match tonight, by the way. They need this badly against Orlando. Badly.
FS1 and also free on Apple. If it's you don't need to have the MLS package in order to watch this. But I would also find out how to get the radio call and listen to Will and Jess, because they are awesome.
Definitely.
And it's a matter of time before she ditches everybody and is a national star. And I love all of you people, but she is unbelievable. All right, let me.
She claims she will not forget us, and she will still take our phone calls. But I don't believe it, Adam. I don't believe it. I think you will stay loyal to us.
I will definitely stay loyal to you. I think she will answer the phone. She will just not be available.
Probably right.
She will just not be available. All right, let's dig in. I know you and I talked about it yesterday when I was on with you guys. How now that we're like 2 days removed from this, what was the morning like? How are people now processing Bryce? Do they believe that it's over, that there's no future with Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, or do they still believe there's a pathway back?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, just like you, I was a fan of Bryce. I wanted him. I thought this was going to work out. I've been in utter shock to see that he has actually regressed from his struggles last year and gotten substantially worse this year. I did not see that coming at all. But it's been heartbreaking to me just because I feel bad for Bryce. Also, I feel like a big dummy because I feel like, damn, was I just this wrong? And then I also, as a Panther fan, feel like, holy crap, we just screwed the pooch yet again, and this might be our worst one yet. So it's been a lot to process, I believe, for all of us. I thought that, okay, this is pretty much a clean break. Forget about Bryce. And then this morning, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN writes a piece. It was actually kind of like an Around the NFL type piece with him and Dan Graziano. But the part about Bryce with Jeremy Fowler, he mentions that the Panthers are kind of looking at this as, his sources tell him, take it for what it's worth, that the Panthers do in part view this as, hey, let's just sit him down. We don't want to lose the locker room. That seems to be the consensus among the insiders. We all saw Adam Thielen freak out when he was open, didn't get the football, and Bryce wouldn't step up in the pocket to throw it to him. And I think most insiders seem to think there's a fear from Dave Canales that the veterans are seeing this extremely low level of quarterback play and feeling like, this dude, we can't win anything. We can't stay in a game with this guy. And it seems like that's part of the reason. If you believe Jeremy Fowler's sources, there's also a feeling that, hey, we can sit him, let him maybe take a deep breath, maybe let him, get over those mental issues that he's kind of dealing with in the pocket. And he kind of makes it seem like maybe we'll see him again. I don't know. I don't know about you, Adam. I, at this point, almost feel like it's best for Bryce to get the heck away from this place that did not put him into a good situation and probably caused all this mental damage. But also, even for the Panthers, I almost feel like maybe a trade is best for both parties. But that Fowler piece made me wonder if we see him again.
All right, so so many things just off of what you just had to say there. First of all, I do believe Bryce was broken last year. Putting him behind that offensive line with those weapons or lack thereof at receiver, where Adam Thielen was the only viable option for Bryce to throw to, with no time and getting sacked 62 times. To me, he was broken a year ago. I argued that they shouldn't have played him last year. Nobody bought it, which is fine. I get it. His brain is supposed to be the best quality that he's got as a quarterback, but I mean, you can be ruined, and quarterbacks have been ruined by the NFL. But here's the thing about Bryce being the idea that they're giving Bryce some time to catch his breath and reset. Why wouldn't that have been what Dave Canales said yesterday? There were two things that really...
He had a chance. He had a chance. He was asked a question about that sort of thing, right?
Right. There were two things that he said yesterday that... And forget about what he said Sunday when he said Bryce is our quarterback. There are two things that he said yesterday that, without saying, that really screamed to me. One, he said, we. He didn't say I made the decision. We made the decision, which means David Tepper made the decision to me. and which is whatever. He has the right to do that. He owns the football team, even though it really is him staying on brand. But the other thing is that he never once allowed, and he was asked if Andy Dalton was permanent, if he's the starter going forward, and he had an opportunity to say, look, Bryce is going to be our quarterback, but right now the game is just moving way too fast for him, and we need to. But he never offered any of that. So in my opinion, whether it's Dave Canales, and I don't believe it is, or it's the owner, and I believe it is, he has decided that it's over. So now how do you get out of it? That's my read. I hope I'm wrong, because I do think that somewhere in there is a good NFL quarterback.
The thing, he also was asked the question about what was David Tepper's involvement, and Canales said, I like to keep that private. It's like, if his involvement was literally you just telling him, like, I feel like you wouldn't have to keep it private. So that sets off all our Panther fan paranoia that our meddlesome owner is added again, at least in some capacity. There's no doubt that sets those feelings out there. And I think you're right. I think if it was I think that's a good point. I didn't think about it, but if it was something like that in the presser, maybe he could have softened the blow and explained that a little bit. Although I have to be honest, he passes on more questions than any coach we've had here. And we've had them all here, Adam, in the last 5 or 6 years. Matt Rule, I wish he passed on some questions because, my God, the longer he talked, the more crap came out of that mouth.
I know.
But Canales is very, willing to be like, no, I'm not answering that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I am a little intrigued, I will admit, as much as I like Bryce personally, and I did believe that Bryce could turn it around this year with Canales' help. I am intrigued to see what the offense looks like with Andy Dalton because I do think the receiving core is better, if not great.
Sure.
I think the offensive line, it's fifth in the league in PSF's pass blocking grades. I mean, I think the offensive line, that's the thing that's a shame, is on Sunday, I thought Bryce wasted good protection by literally, at times, not even letting the downfield routes develop and just looking immediately at checkdowns.
Yeah.
Before he even looks at option 1 and 2 downfield. So I'm kind of curious to see better O-line, better weapons, Coach Canales' system that has worked, or he's worked well with Geno and then with Baker Mayfield. I'm kind of curious to see if it could at least look functional on offense, because functional on offense would really feel like an out-of-body experience for me as a Panther fan if I saw functional.
It's been such a long time since they have looked functional offensively. I agree. Look, I have the advantage of not having the emotional investment in the team. I don't.
You're
lucky. In many ways, I am. I used to have an emotional investment. I used to get mad watching the Jets. I no longer. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. To me, they are comedy. So I'm looking at this from, Victoria is a big Panthers fan. I want her and other Panthers fans to enjoy their team. They don't have to be great. They just have to be entertaining. And right now, there's no entertainment value to watching them.
It's
there
hasn't
depressing.
been for years, right? Even when they have had the defense playing well at times over the last 5 years or so, the offense has been such an eyesore that it's such a hell. You know how much, Adam, we've been begging the last 5 years or so for a 34-31 loss. You know what I mean? And that actually happened early in Rule's career. Rule's first year, they lost to the Chiefs by a score that might have been around 34-31, if not 34-31 exactly. The Saints, they played kind of a shootout with it. So, they were, ironically, as bad as he ended up being, that rookie year, his first year, they were really competitive.
Yep.
And it was more fun then. But this miserable stuff where the offense literally looks like it is not even the same sport that some of these other teams are playing. And you know what else they do for me, Adam, as someone that loves the Panthers? They ruin the rest of the NFL for me. Because then I go home and I want to watch Pat Mahomes and Joe Burrow. But you know what it does? It makes me pissed off and bitter because I'm like, I didn't even know the forward pass was legal. I thought every pass had to be 2 yards downfield. They have ruined Sunday. They have ruined watching other pro games. So, yeah, if Andy Dalton, I swear I will lose my mind if I just see an average offense, Adam. Average.
And that's what
I would take that.
That's probably best case scenario with Andy Dalton, and that would be fine. That would be fine. Also, to give him a baseline to see, this is what it could look with competent, we're not even asking for great, competent quarterback play. And I hope Bryce gets another opportunity. I think it's more likely that they try to trade him. And look, there are teams around the NFL that, I don't know if they're interested in Bryce, but are probably looking around for a quarterback today. We don't know what the status is for Tua Tagovailoa going forward. We know the Dolphins place him on IR, and we know Skylar Thompson ain't taking him anywhere. So there's an option there. Who knows what happens in Pittsburgh down the road? They could take a flyer on another quarterback. I mean, Justin Fields has been okay for them, but you're not winning anything with Justin Fields. Anyway, who knows what the future holds? Let me ask you real quick about Chris McClain, WFNZ in Charlotte, Mac and Bone in the morning. Dave Canales, a question has been asked to me about job security. I think he's got the most job security in the entire league among teams that are no good because David Tepper cares what people think about him. And even though he can hide, he can pretend that this was not his decision, that he just rubber stamped it. But if he fires Dave Canales, he can't hide behind that. And the moth to light is Dave Tepper to whichever way the wind blows. He is so reactionary that is his reputation around the league. He's not firing Dave Canales this year. Frankly, I don't even think he's firing him next year. So Canales has enough job security, at least in the short term, where he could do whatever he wants. So, am I reading that right?
I think you got more faith in Tepper than I do.
Okay.
I get what you're saying. There's no doubt about it.
All right.
I actually do. If this was Dave Canales' idea, I do wonder if it's motivated by the fear that if we keep looking like this, do I end up as the next Frank Reich?
Wow.
That's a thought that I had, and he probably believes, hell, with Andy Dalton, I can probably do similar things that I did with Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith. I don't know. Maybe for this year, I would probably go with you that I don't think there'll be a firing this year, especially if the offense is able to look functional with Andy Dalton. You know, I think if an offense with Andy Dalton looks like it does with Bryce Young, I think then Canales could have himself a problem at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But I think if it ends up looking functional with Andy Dalton, and then you're able to evaluate the rest of the roster, I also think that's probably one of the key moves here is that you're able – because with Bryce Young playing quarterback, as much as I like the kid, he made it impossible to do anything else. Like, you literally could not – you could run the football twice and set up 3rd and 3, and he couldn't convert that. You couldn't have any pass game. You knew he wasn't going to throw downfield. Defenses did not have to respect the pass at all. They could load the box. They could, sit on those short routes. So to me, I think this is a lot about evaluating, hey, is the offensive line really better? What about the weapons? What do we need? How about the run game? Can we get this damn run game going that Canales has talked about so much? On defense, too. Could we get a little help for the defense? Could we get some time of possession to where the defense is rested? Because I thought the defense started really well the other night and then got worn down. So I think a big part of this will be an ability to maybe evaluate the rest of the roster and then see what you have. But if God forbid, if this somehow looks as bad as it did with Bryce, I feel like then all bets are off, man.
We'll see. I mean, to me, not committing to the running game is on the head coach. And I was appalled at their lack of commitment to that based on Canales' comments in the preseason and knowing what he knows is best for a young quarterback, or for any quarterback, forget about young quarterback, is to have a quality run game. Chris McClain at MacWFNZ on Twitter, Mac and Bone in the morning on WFNZ in Charlotte. My man, thank you very much for jumping on. I will talk to you next week.
All right, Adam. Be good, man.
Peace. That is Chris McClain. All right, I said I was going to talk about the Hurricanes. This won't be the only time we talk about the Hurricanes, but we're going to dive into it right now. And I'm going to do this based on a tweet the Hurricanes as a team sent out today. It was simply a little, hi card from the team to its fans on Twitter. If you follow the Canes at Canes.com or at Canes on Twitter, they do a great job on social media. And it was simply a picture of Andrei Svechnikov and Martin Necas looking at you.
Love it.
In their hockey uniforms.
I'm ready.
Standing on the ice. Hi. How are you? Besties.
Still together.
Right. So I first just reposted it. And then I went, nah, man, there's a conversation here. Because to me, these are singularly, and I'm talking about two players. Does that even work? The two most important players to Carolina's success this year. Do Andre and Martin take a step forward in their play production? If they do that, automatically the Hurricanes go to a different place. If we get the identical Svechnikov and Necas, I don't know why I'm screaming. If we get the identical Svechnikov and Necas as we got a year ago, Andre was good. Nobody's going to deny that Andre wasn't a good player last year. Did he go to the penalty box too much? Yeah. Did he score not quite as many goals as we would have liked? Yeah. Was he hurt a few more and missed some time last year? Of course, remember, he came back from the knee injury and wasn't 100% right away and didn't start right away. So he missed some games. He wasn't quite as good as we needed him to be, but he was good last year. And even when he doesn't score, Andre impacts the game in a positive way with his physicality, with his energy, with his puck retrieval. Like, Andre does aid to winning, even without scoring most nights. Necas scored some goals, scored some big goals, had some big moments, but ultimately he was a train wreck defensively last year, and at times disappeared. Of course, in the playoffs, we saw a little bit of a different Marty Necas. We saw a Necas, maybe it was because he was playing with Jordan Martinook and Jack Drury, but we saw a Necas that played a little bit more of a gritty game. And I thought it was really the best stretch of total hockey that he played over the course of the entire season, albeit it was just the one series against the Islanders and the one series against the Rangers in which I thought Marty was good, and he was probably best in the game in which they lost, the last game. But those two guys individually unlock Carolina. Baseline, let's just say that last season is their baseline. I think the Hurricanes are a playoff team. I don't think they're dangerous in the playoffs, but I think they're a playoff team based on the way they will play during the regular season. They're going to make the playoffs, I think. But if those two players take the next step, if Andre takes that good play, that where he is always, again, apart from the penalties, positively impacting the game, if he adds more goal production to the equation, and if Necas marries the way he played in the postseason, a little bit more interior, a little bit more physical, a little bit grittier, determined game, and he adds that to the dynamic skating and offensive ability that we have seen, if Marty marries those two and takes his game to the level where I think a lot of people believe it could be, now Carolina becomes not just a playoff team, but I believe a factor at the top of the conference, if not the entire league. I'm not suggesting they're a favorite to win the Stanley Cup, but I think it puts them in a different category. Carolina still is probably 2 scoring forwards short, and maybe a goalie, of being a bona fide Stanley Cup contender. But maybe that becomes just 1 forward short if Andre and Martin become the players that they can be. And somebody asked me the question on Twitter, at AGoldFan, if you're interested. Because I said these are the 2 players that are most important to Carolina's success this year. The question was, who's the most important for them this year to have the best year, for them to get the most out of it? Andre, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and Martin Necas. My guess is, I'm trying to remember who it was that asked me the question. I apologize. I think that's probably going to be a line. I think that's probably going to be Carolina's number 2 line going into the season. Pardon me, Rod Brindamore, for numbering them. And my answer is, because I'm going to answer the question, most important, I think, is Natchez. I think him having that year makes them super dangerous offensively because of the potential offensively for Natchez. People forget he's taller than Andre, I believe. He's faster than Andre, even though Andre won the fastest skater competition in the All-Star game that he went to. And he's probably a little bit more dynamic offensively. Andre is more of a power forward and can, to be honest, I don't see why Andre can't play to a certain extent the way Matthew Tkachuk plays. Now, Andre's nature is not necessarily being mean, but Andre should play that way.
He's feisty.
He should play that way.
Yeah.
Right? Andre is super nice and chill off the ice all the time. And he's always happy. So I would like to see, my favorite Sebastian Aho is Angry Aho. I'd like to see Andre play a little angry.
Bloody Aho.
Oh yeah, when you pissed off Sebastian,
oh yeah,
oh man,
yeah.
Watch out, because he just gets even more determined.
Yep.
And I think Nikita Kucherov brings that out a lot in Sebastian Aho. But I think Natchez can take his game to another level. And now, if you've got Aho and Jarvis and Andre and Natchez doing special things, maybe you only need one forward. And then, again, I still think might need a goalie. But I do believe the answer is Natchez. The truth is that it's Natchez and Andre, but I answered the question where I do believe that if I had to say somebody is number 1 on that list, it's the 88. So I cannot wait for tomorrow when it all starts. They're doing, I think the skate testing is tomorrow. Well, it's always interesting. I'm going to be there. Real quick promo for tomorrow's show. Tim Donnelly will be sitting in this chair, but I will be contributing from the opening day of Hurricanes training camp tomorrow. We'll have some interviews. I'll pop on with Tim anyway. And so we'll be out there at training camp. I'm looking forward to all of it. It starts at 9 o'clock. The NHL group goes 11 o'clock. The more of the rookies, PTOs, those types of players go at 11 o'clock. And then Friday, which is open to the public, at Invisalign, they'll flip it. So the early group will be the rookies. So if you want to get out there at 9 o'clock and maybe see some of your favorite Hurricanes of the future, we'll see at 9 o'clock at Invisalign. I will not be out there Friday, but I'll be out there tomorrow at the Lenovo Center, which is what we're calling it now. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to stretch. We're going to place bets. I have to look. I think I got shut out yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know if it was good for me either. We'll see.
Next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, we believe that getting to know you is the best way to protect what you love most. We have friendly agents in every county to help you prepare for the unexpected. And when life doesn't go as planned, our award-winning claims team will be with you every step of the way. Find a local agent today at ncfbins.com. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
This year, FanDuel is giving you a chance to win big every Thursday night with FanDuel Squares. It's the same Super Bowl Squares game you've always known, only way better, and that's because your numbers aren't just randomly assigned. You get to pick them yourself. You can pick as many as you like. You'll get to see the odds beforehand, and you can bet them live during the game. So what are you waiting for? FanDuel.com/AGS. Bet on Squares. Plus, if you're new to FanDuel, you can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager. FanDuel.com/AGS for FanDuel. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The 2024 Atlantic hurricane season is predicted to be among the most active we've ever experienced. Prepare your home now against power outages of all types with a Generac home standby generator from Alternative Power. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, helping protect you and your family. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
You don't need a four-year degree to have a rewarding career that makes a difference in people's lives every day. As a public power line worker, you'll build and maintain a locally owned and operated electric system to keep the lights on in your community. 4 months in a community college program provides the training you need to begin your career as an apprentice line worker in public power. And being a local government employee in North Carolina comes with excellent benefits. To learn more about line worker and other public power careers, visit electricities.com.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
My early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard, but it gave my mom and me more time to plan.
Go to alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use two screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch two games at the same time.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry. I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold, Victoria, producing the program. Why are you're smiling at the musical choice?
Yeah, this song is called the Burger Song.
Called the Burger for cheeseburger.
For National Cheeseburger Day.
The Burger Song.
Which I will say, people chimed in on the Chip Patterson debate when you asked him about the cheese. Because anyone who missed it, my bump song was Cheeseburger in Paradise by Jimmy Buffett. So you asked him what kind of cheese he'd want, and some people were chiming in. Some said Swiss and mushroom.
A mushroom and Swiss burger is dynamite. Yes. I like a black and blue burger.
Okay. Yeah, the blue cheese gets me sometimes.
I get it. Totally understand.
I'm not a fan of the blue cheese stuff. Who was the other one? Swiss and cheese with mushroom. Oh, horseradish cheddar. That was another one.
Horseradish is very nice.
That was different.
I like a little bite to the cheese.
Yeah. I mean, change it up a little bit.
American cheese just to me is not. It's not cheese.
The mystery cheese.
It's not cheese. Just stop it.
Yeah.
It's not cheese. I don't get Velveeta either.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
I know. The dip is but when you make it with the Rotel and you put stuff in there, it kind of masks it. So, yeah.
I don't need to mask it.
It's great for Super Bowl parties.
Yeah, sure. Well, true. Remember those. Remember Super Bowl parties, Panthers fans.
Those.
I apologize.
It's been a minute.
All right, let's stretch.
Or Super Bowl parties for everyone else. Now, back in the day, I saw this and thought, I always like to see these back in the day situations. So 25 years ago, back in 1999, right before everyone thought the world was going to explode, Sammy Sosa became the first player in Major League Baseball in history to hit 60 home runs in a season for the second time.
Right, he did.
He pulled it off 2 years in a row. So that was a fun little fact. That feels like a long time ago.
There was a time where he was ahead of Mark McGwire in that home run chase in 1998, but it didn't last the entire day because McGwire passed him later on in the day.
That's right. That did happen.
Yeah, it's sad because we now know that it was steroid aided, but that was one of the most fun summers in baseball history.
Yeah.
Those two guys embraced the chase, embraced each other. I think Sammy maybe more so than McGwire, but McGwire realized that he didn't want to be painted as a villain.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, that was a great summer.
It's very exciting. People who didn't care about baseball did.
Neither player is going to be in the Hall of Fame, which is a shame. But
it is. It's very sad. But that happened 25 years ago. So, woo, that was a while ago. Now, like I mentioned, it's National Cheeseburger Day. And I bring this up because people love their cheeseburgers. Obviously, we've noticed, and there are deals and actually ones in this state. So, for people who are interested, you can go to Mickey D's, get you a 50-cent double cheeseburger, but you have to do it through their app. Most of these places are going to want you to download their app because, everyone's got an app now.
Yes.
Wendy's also is selling their Junior Bacon Cheeseburger. Let me tell you, Baconator all day. Delicious. I mean, you're not going to feel great afterward,
it's pretty good.
But it's great. You can get those for a penny with a purchase. Burger King's also doing stuff. Dairy Queen and Buffalo Wild Wings all have their stuff, so you can go ahead and look those up if any of them suit your fancy. But yeah, it's National Cheeseburger Day, so have fun with it. Hopefully, we can have fun making some good bets.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal in Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right, one bet I know I didn't win yesterday was I had the bet the Mets and Braves to each win, and the Braves had at one point a 5-1 lead in Cincinnati and lost 6-5.
Oh, no.
We'll talk about the ramifications of that a little bit later on, but
Yikes.
I think I got shut out yesterday.
Well, that doesn't mean good for me. The only one I'm for sure of is I know I made my Cubby bet and they stinking lost. So let's try this again, shall we? They're still playing the Oakland A's in Wrigleyville. Steele is pitching today, so let's go Steele. Cubbies to win. My Cubbies. And I'm going to take the under 7.5. Or no. I'm going to take the over 7.5 because they're going to come out swinging, literally and figuratively. That's plus 180.
All right, we're going back to the well. Mets and Braves. Braves have to win today. Have to win. They're 2 games behind the Mets and the Diamondbacks now for the last wild card spot. So the Braves will win. I think the Mets will also win at home against Washington. And you couple those, and it's plus 170.
Okay, well, as a Cubby fan, I'm obligated to root against the White Sox. So the White Sox are in L.A. taking on the Angels. Give me the Angels to win and hopefully over, because I want them to lose bad, 8.5. So, Angels to win, over 8.5, plus 195.
All right, we have. I'm not going to be here tomorrow to place a bet, I don't think. But so we'll do the Thursday night football game now. I think New England is going to cover the 6.5. Frankly, if you said they were going to beat the Jets, I wouldn't argue with you, and it's plus 220.
It is.
But we'll go New England to cover the 6.5, and I think it goes over 38.5. So New England plus 6.5, and the over 38.5. That's plus 240.
Okay, well, my last one, Diamondbacks and the Rockies. They're in Colorado. Give me the Diamondbacks and the under 10.5, plus 215.
2 years ago, Manchester City and Inter Milan, also known as Inter, played for the Champions League title. They play today at City. City wins. Both teams score plus 170.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we are right here on the precipice of NFL week number 3, and let's let the fun begin. New users, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager. Will the Jets win for the second straight time over the Patriots and the first time in New England since the earth cooled? They had lost 15 in a row to New England before last year. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Make every moment more with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season, and that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great, it's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
Donald Trump's back, and he's out for control.
I would have every right to go after them.
Complete control.
I will wield that power very aggressively.
And he has a plan to get it.
Detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do.
It's called Project 2025, a 922-page blueprint to make Donald Trump the most powerful president ever. Overhauling the Department of Justice, giving Trump the unchecked power to seek vengeance, eliminating the Department of Education, and defunding K-12 schools, requiring the government to monitor women's pregnancies, and Trump has also proposed severe cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Those are Donald Trump's plans.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified.
He'll take control, we'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. Paid for by Harris for President.
It's Tim Donnelly for Window Nation. Right now, buy 2 windows and get 2 free. Plus, pay nothing for 24 months. Hurry, sale ends September 30th, so schedule an in-home estimate at 866-90Nation or at windownation.com.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces his way into the end zone. Touchdown!
Visit GotBryan.com.
That's GotBryan.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
What we saw from Bryce even in that cameo was not what we've seen from Bryce Young in the first 2 weeks of the season. What we saw from Bryce during a joint practice against the Jets first team is not what we've seen from him in the first 2 games of the regular season. So I don't really know how they could have predicted this happening. I suppose they played more in the preseason, but again, Canales is out there every single day. If Bryce Young looked like this, which he didn't at least the days I was there, then of course he wouldn't have started. But he didn't look like this. So it just feels like I think everyone was caught off guard, in particular Dave Canales, just based off of the play that Bryce has had in the first 2 weeks.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. That was Julian Council from yesterday, Locked On Panthers podcast. I think we did 3 hours on the same topic yesterday. All we did was talk about
Panther misery.
There are certain days where that's the case.
Well, being the worst NFL team in the league and being an embarrassment.
Got to be good at something.
Yeah. Being good at bad.
Right. That they absolutely are.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I was, the odds and things like that fascinate me, which is why we do a betting, wagering segment every day. I don't place all of these wagers. I'm just fascinated by it. A lot of times I just forget to.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, I forgot like for a week where I was hitting big ones.
Right.
Which, why don't I do this every day?
Well,
because I don't.
I found out that my luck, I do better if I just say the bets and give it for other people and not do it myself.
Right. So, I've always said, take these, wagers at your own peril. But I found it interesting that Erling Haaland, who just scores goal after goal after goal. I mean, it's insane what Haaland has done this year. In the Premier League, I think he has 9 goals in 4 matches. I think it's 9 goals in 4. It's just it's insane what he has done. He is only plus 270 to score the first goal. Usually that number is much bigger.
Right.
And he's only plus 350 to score 2 or more.
Oh. Interesting.
Stunning.
Yeah.
That's a stunningly low number. Low number, which means, it's probably a good bet. All right. Time to delve into Bryce Young in the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
And by the way, Adam Smith, Inside Carolina, is going to join us to talk about the Tar Heels coming up in about 15 minutes. Mel Kiper. I saw this yesterday and I thought, Mel, way more emotional about this than maybe he should be. Certainly more emotional than I am. But Mel, I guess he was on the Bryce Young train, as I was, right? And I'm not completely off of it. It's obvious that he's right now awful. But here's Mel Kiper on how the Panthers have screwed this up.
A lot of great quarterbacks in the NFL did not play well early on and were benched. This isn't something but what happens now is quarterbacks are chewed up and spit out before they can breathe in the NFL. And that's what's happening now. You say, well, he's done there. Really? Like I say, he played 1 series of preseason. I get joint practices. I get all that. But why did Derek Carr feel the need to play in 2 preseason games and C.J. Stroud playing 2? And your quarterback with all new people is playing 1 series of the final preseason game against the Buffalo Bills team that played nobody. So to me, it's how you handle quarterbacks will determine how they perform in their future, and Bryce Young was mishandled completely.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mel, there's about almost 2 minutes of that, and Mel is super into it.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of this is fine to lie. Jeff Saturday, a Carolina legend, not a Carolina Panthers legend, but a University of North Carolina legend, on this not necessarily being about Bryce.
He played 11 games with Frank. He played 6 games with Taylor. Then he plays 2 with Canales. Like, how do you think you're going to progress? You have 3 different systems you're bringing in or having, to make changes, terminology, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. There's a lot going on. And by the way, the dudes on that side of the ball are really smart, and they're going to give you a lot of different looks that you're not prepared for. So if you don't have some kind of consistency, it's going to make it even worse. Yeah. It's an organizational failure, and Tepper is the one who should the bag should fall to him.
Right.
Because ultimately, he makes these convictions and choices and decisions, and everybody's like, oh, like you said, no conviction in Frank, no conviction in the quarterback, no conviction. We're going to change it. We're going to blow it up. We're going to go chase what Houston's doing. That's a freaking joke. Man.
So I don't know this to be true or not, but whether this is urban legend or people believe it is true, I'm not arguing with it, that Frank Reich and Scott Fitterer both wanted C.J. Stroud, and David Tepper went, I want him. I want Bryce Young.
Right, which wouldn't be too far-fetched.
No, and again, only one person owns the team.
Mm-hmm.
That person's opinion matters to him more than anybody else's. But here's where I part giving him a break, is that David Tepper has an area of expertise in life. And that area is market inefficiencies. And he has made billions in the financial world. His expertise in life is not talent evaluation in football. So this is where we go, just because you're smart at one thing doesn't make you smart at other things. Smart people, really smart people, would hire good people and let them do their jobs. So maybe Tepper's just lucky in business, but not that smart. That's my conclusion. Adam Schefter on whether or not Bryce Young is done in Carolina.
He's done there. Just like we saw the Jets move on from Zach Wilson and the Patriots move on from Mac Jones. The Bears move on from Justin. Like, they're moving on from him. So the question is when and how does that come down? And he'll get another chance at another city. But obviously the shine is off his star. His NFL career is on the line. And we'll see how that works out for him. But the whole thing has been a disaster for everybody.
There's probably a lot of truth there. I agree. I think Bryce Young is done with the Panthers. Zach Wilson, a little bit of a different case in that he had essentially 2 full seasons to prove that he couldn't play. As did Mac Jones, have 2 full seasons to prove that he couldn't play, and Justin Fields.
Yeah.
So
and plus, Zach had a bad attitude. The locker room apparently didn't
he's a dope.
Yeah.
But blaming other people.
Right.
Yeah. Bryce hasn't had that second opportunity, but I do believe he'll get it somewhere else at some point. Dan Graziano, as we sort of flipped the story, Tua Tagovailoa is going on the IR. Why?
This is to buy time. It's not an indication of a season-ending situation, but he will have to now miss at least 4 games. It eases the pressure on them and him in terms of questions about his timeline for return, gives him more time to consult with doctors, with neurologists, and get a sense of exactly where he stands in the wake of his latest concussion. So it sounds like Tua Tagovailoa going on injured reserve, and then by rule will have to miss at least the next 4 games.
What will Miami's record be when Tua comes off of IR? Whether or not he comes back to play, what will their record be? Now to Adam Schefter. Should the Dolphins call about Bryce?
I would. I mean, I don't know if they will, but I would. It would make sense to me to do that. Now, what would Carolina take? What would Miami give up? Is Tua going to come back at all? Is he going to come back this season? There's a lot of variables, but to me, that makes I see the logic in it. I'm not telling you it's going to happen, but he's going to go on somewhere else. Why not Miami?
Okay. What do you think, Miami? You be the Panthers, Victoria. I will be the Dolphins. I'll give you a 3rd-round pick right now for Bryce Young. Would you take it?
Ooh, would the Panthers take it?
That's what I said. You're
if
the Panthers.
I'm the Panthers.
I'm the Dolphins. I'll give you a 3rd-round pick right now for Bryce Young.
No. No, I don't think so. Because we just have Andy Dalton, so what if he gets injured?
No, you've got Jack Plummer.
That's true. We do have Plummer. Yeah. I don't know. I would try to negotiate and get more. For our 1st-round pick.
I'm not giving you more.
I'm
not even sure to be honest, I'm not even sure Miami would offer a 3rd.
Yeah.
Based on what we have seen from Bryce.
Yeah.
I'm not even what did Denver give up for Zach Wilson? What did Mac Jones go for when he was, I don't even remember where he got traded. Justin Fields, we got nothing.
Yeah.
The Steelers gave up nothing to get Justin Fields.
I know.
Again, those guys had more time to prove, but Bryce got worse. So
I know. Well, and that brings up a point, too, is I wonder if they're putting him on the bench so he doesn't show all the ugly so his trading value stays high.
Too late.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
I know. Can't take it back.
So, interesting, because if I were the Panthers and the Dolphins offered me a 3rd, I think I'd take it. I just don't know that you can you can rehabilitate him to the point where it looks like it's worth more than that. And, of course, the Dolphins aren't going to be interested in that unless they determine that, man, Tua really could be done.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Adam Smith from Inside Carolina. Tar Heels beat Central. They did not convincingly beat Central, and now they have a new two-headed quarterback monster with Jacoby Criswell and Connor Harrell. Or is it still just a one quarterback monster? We'll find out from the monster, Adam Smith, next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. For all the inside information on your team, join me and my co-host, WRAL TV's Chris Lee, for our podcast, Panthers Playbook, presented by Carolina Ford Dealers. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on your Panthers, and we'll do it with access only we can provide. Locker room insight, exclusive interviews, and in-depth looks at every Panthers game. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcasts or watch on YouTube.
Adam Gold here for my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road and Cary. Over the years, I have spent a lot of time with Gordon Miller, and we have developed a character, the Hank. This is a guy who predicts what mortgage rates are going to do. So when mortgage rates were really high back about a year ago, Gordon said to me, time to roll out the Hank. I promise that by 2025, the rates will be in the fives. We're pretty close to that now, but we expect them to go even lower later this year into next year. Fed's going to cut general interest rates as well. Miller Lending, home of the original no closing cost mortgage. Take advantage of dropping rates. Online, MillerLending.com. Go check everything out there. One-stop shop. Miller Lending, home of the original no closing cost mortgage, MillerLending.com. Great website, better people, and the website is great. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary, an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 2502146.
Our state's future begins with our students. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery has contributed over $10 billion to education. Through scholarships, school construction, support staff, and pre-K programs, lottery dollars move our state forward, helping students become the best versions of themselves. Visit movingncstudentsforward.com and share how your student or school community has benefited for a chance to earn $2,000 for your story. Must be 18 to play. Problem Gambling Helpline 877-718-5543.
Connection, opportunity, possibility. It's what we all want. Spectrum has built a world where anything is possible, with products and services designed to work better together for a seamless connectivity experience. A connection to family and friends, a connection to education, and a connection to new opportunities. So there's no limit to how big we can dream. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Ready to make memories and support a tremendous mission? Hi, this is Mike Maniscalco. I would love for you to join me for St. Jude's Triangle Walk Run, presented by Window World of Raleigh and Fayetteville, Saturday, September 21st. We're going to have some awesome fun while we raise money to help find cures for kids. Start a team, join a team, or participate as an individual, virtually or in person. Download the St. Jude Walk Run mobile app in your app store or visit fundraisingstjude.org. I'll see you there.
This September, Diamonds Direct's ultimate offer is back, stronger than ever. Diamonds Direct helps you get the perfect jewelry gift with 0% interest. That's right. Enjoy 5 years of 0% financing on any Diamonds Direct purchase. It's your chance to get her the perfect ring with 0 interest and comfortable monthly payments that fit your budget. But act fast. This offer ends September 30th. For details and more, visit diamondsdirect.com. Spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest on approved credit. Only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Y'all want to hear about the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford? Well, if you're age 50 or over, you can save hundreds when you switch. Are you ready for some exclusive discounts too? Phone's in the air now. We're going to sign you up, baby. Go to visithartfordauto.com today for your free quote.
When you're with the Hartford, the Bucks got your back. Provided by Hartford Fire Insurance Company, not AARP or its affiliates. Individual savings vary. The Hartford pays a royalty fee to AARP, which is used for its general purposes. For information and restrictions, go to thehartford.com.
This is Adam Gold.
While I'm watching Colombia, Uruguay, not only the end of that match, but the fight in the stands after it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Heard it got spicy.
That was the most excited fans we have seen in 5 years at Bank of America Stadium. Man, look at all the happy people at Bank of America.
Just took the other kind of football.
Yeah, there you go. More of that.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold, Victoria producing the program. When you talk about teams flying under the radar in college football, nobody's talking about the undefeated North Carolina Tar Heels, who just thumped NC Central 45-10. What a dominant! I'm kidding, of course, because we've talked about it being pretty deceptive. 17-10. Entering the fourth quarter, North Carolina did score 4 touchdowns in the fourth to pull away. We have a new two-headed monster at quarterback in Connor Harrell and now Jacoby Criswell. Adam Smith from inside Carolina, who I don't know why, but I was in, like, I had the word monster in my mind, and I called him a monster. He's a good monster, like Cookie Monster. He joins us on the Adam Gold Show. I apologize for that. I apologize for all of that.
Definitely a cookie monster. I mean, that's definitely a cookie monster. You nailed that.
You have a favorite one? You have a favorite cookie? I asked Chip Patterson earlier for his favorite cheese for a cheeseburger. This is such a stupid show. Adam, what's your favorite cookie?
Chip on?
Yeah.
Chip was on earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, who has aged better than Chip Patterson? Just like a news anchor right before our eyes, Dan Rather or somebody. You know what I mean? Like, that Chip and I are technically co-workers, AG.
That's right. That's right.
In the CBS sports world of Paramount and all that. I'm not sure how it all works way above my pay grade, but
neither am I.
Gosh, I'll take Chip scraps any day.
Do you have a favorite cookie? Let me answer the question. Come on.
I mean, all of them.
Yeah, okay. That's actually the right answer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It depends on whichever way the wind's blowing.
All right, if Jacoby Criswell and Connor Harrell were each a cookie, don't. So Mac Brown said he's going to go with 2 quarterbacks. I didn't believe him in week 1. He went with Max Johnson. I don't believe him now. I believe it will be Jacoby Criswell, but I don't cover the team on a daily, weekly basis. You do. What is your sense of what they're going to do at quarterback?
I don't recommend it for your sanity, first of all. But, I was just, as you were, like, warming that up and setting it on the table very nicely, I was just thinking back to it. It seems like it was a long time ago, but I think we did talk, as we often do, that – what did I say? I said I would predict Max Johnson will start the opener, and I will predict that Jacoby Criswell you will see him start a game at some point. But obviously I – had no idea that the gruesome broken leg might factor in there. I mean, it is all kind of wild. I mean, they have played 3 games this season, and they're on their 3rd quarterback.
Right.
And I was thinking about it the other night with the Central game. Criswell comes in late in the first quarter, which was their 9th quarter of the season. They were on their 3rd quarterback 9 quarters in.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we can all do that math, actually. But, yeah, I mean, I think if you know what we do. We try to parse what Max says and pull out the nuggets. I mean, I think he has to say that. But I think anyone who watched the game the other night, and certainly our audience, they have fully shifted to we're on to QB3 now for QB1. It's all kind of unbelievable. I know you don't have time for me to go all into it, but I was thinking back. I wrote a little thing. I mean, the butterfly effect that is in play here is just kind of crazy because if a guy named Tad Hudson, who was either UNC's 3rd or 4th quarterback on the depth chart, doesn't get into the transfer portal in April and ultimately wind up at Coastal Carolina, Jacoby Criswell probably isn't back at UNC and on the roster transferring back from Arkansas. They had to, when Hudson got in the portal, who, by the way, his sister is Drake May's girlfriend, if you need that info.
Wow.
Yeah, it was an easy recruitment in that regard.
How about that?
Yeah, they're very cute.
Sure.
If he doesn't get in the portal, they don't really. I mean, there's no reason to look for someone to shore up the depth, but that's how it all played out, and here we are. And I understand that it was an FCS opponent the other night, but I thought, and I think people think, he looked pretty competent back there. Now he had a ton of time to throw, but I think that he looked probably better suited than Connor Harrell does right now.
And I think,
right now.
And again, I'm not right there, but I did watch the game, and it looked to me like it took a little bit of time for it to take, but it looked to me like the offense just operated better with Criswell, because I don't believe, and I said this after the opener, having watched the game against Minnesota, I don't believe that good teams would have looked at North Carolina at that point, and they would basically put 10 guys on the line of scrimmage and say, go ahead, throw it. We don't believe you can do it. We don't believe you want to do it, and we believe your best player is Omarion Hampton, and that is the truth. We're going to do everything we can to slow him down. And I think that's the way good teams would have approached it. I'm not sure that's how good things aren't going to approach it now, but I think at least you have a better chance of getting the ball down the field, and maybe to Nesbitt, or one of the tight ends, which is probably the best part of their passing game anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the word I keep coming back to is competent, and you're hitting the nail on the head there. I mean, you legitimately have one of the best running backs in the country in Omarion Hampton. I mean, my dear God, this guy, he's leading the nation in yards after contact. I believe he's 4th or 5th just in rushing overall. And he didn't play the second half against UNC Charlotte because he had a thigh bruise.
Right.
If you could just keep people honest, no one's saying go throw for 450 yards and five touchdowns. I think if you can at least keep people honest and maybe open up some more of the passing game. Because, I mean, I think in sort of the audition that Connor Harrell had, one of the things with him was sort of locking in on receivers and not going to his checkdowns and his progressions. I mean, if you could just get that level of quarterback play, and, oh, by the way, the defensive line at UNC is playing better than it has in a long time. There are some parts that you can make this work, because the ACC, I mean, all of these games are winnable. They're all losable too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to find out here in the coming weeks about that.
Yeah, we're hoping from an interest standpoint locally that both North Carolina and Duke take care of losable games, but obviously winnable games, because I think Duke could go to Middle Tennessee and screw that up. And JMU's got enough pedigree, and North Carolina, I don't trust the offense at this point, but I'd love to see those two teams playing each at 4-0. It would do wonders just for the interest in that matchup, at least in the triangle. Adam Smith, Inside Carolina, at Adam_Smith_IC. You alluded to the defensive line. I know it's just 3 games in, and Minnesota's been the only top-level opponent. We'll get more of an indication against JMU and more of an indication after that against Duke. But what is your level of, this is a good defensive line and a good front 7 on defense as well about the Tar Heels so far?
I mean, it's been pretty maybe I was going to say impressive. Maybe refreshing would be the word for the people in the Carolina blue corner of the universe, because that's been the area, as you very well know, where if you're a UNC football fan, you've been pulling your hair out the last couple of years because there just hasn't been the production, especially to match sort of the profile of some of these guys. I mean, no one was a bigger recruit than Des Evans coming out of Lee County High School in Stanford. Travis Shaw, as you very well know.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have gone to Georgia, could have gone to Clemson. I mean, this guy was a 5-star player coming out of Greensboro Grimsley. Bo Atkinson looks like Thor. I mean, like that's his nickname. These guys look great. And, they haven't produced for whatever reason. And if you're into playing the blame game, Carolina football fans would tell you it was all Gene Chizik and Tim Cross's fault. Tim Cross was the defensive line coach. I do think that with Jeff Collins at defensive coordinator and with Ted Monachino as the defensive line coach, who, by the way, has played in and won Super Bowls as a coach with the Ravens, I think they're clearly operating on a different level. Is Charlotte a good football team? I do not think so. Central, God bless them, plays in the FCS.
Right.
I mean, they have 22 less scholarships, I think the sample size is favorable so far, but these guys are better. And specifically, I would say at defensive tackle, Kevin Hester is playing better than he ever has. They got Joshua Harris, the former NC State D lineman, out of the portal from Ole Miss. He was a really important find. I mean, this guy is married and he has 2 kids.
I know.
I mean, he has a third on the way, as a matter of fact. I mean, this is a grown man who has had a positive effect on, like, the Travis Shaws of the world. So, I mean, yeah, they got him playing good. And honestly, I mean, and I'm not trying to disparage anyone, I think they're being coached up better than they ever had. I mean, Ted Monachino's resume sort of speaks for itself. That was a sort of a huge deal that they have been able to keep him in Chapel Hill and have him not go back to the NFL. Because, I mean, he was in the NFL, I think, 16 years. That's kind of been a big deal for that coaching staff. You got Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah.
You got Ted Monachino. I mean, there's a lot of good knowledge on that staff.
As we say goodbye, Adam Smith, you talk about you don't want to disparage, and we're talking about Gene Chizik here. And I know Chizik has a national championship under his belt, right?
Sure.
Which, I mean, thank you, Cam. But the reality is
Vince Young at Texas.
That's
too,
right.
As an assistant. But
so
please continue. Yeah.
if he's got, I mean, we've watched him. He had 2 stints at Carolina as a defensive coordinator, and yes, we can blame Larry Fedora for one of them, for the way they played offense, which didn't do his defense really any favors, because when they did score, they scored in a minute and a half. And when they didn't score, they gave the ball back in a minute and a half. So the defense was constantly on the field, but they weren't good when they were on the field. And the defense hasn't been good since Mac Brown has been back. Part of that is, some recruits missed or whatever. But Gene Chizik never did it for me. So, it just didn't work here twice with 2 different head coaches. I do think that Jeff Collins has, infused some energy into this whole thing.
Has.
And sometimes energy and belief goes a long way, as who was it? Samuel L. Jackson's character in Pulp Fiction. Sometimes personality goes a long way.
Absolutely has, with the energy. I mean, it's like we do get to watch a few practices in the spring and in the fall. It's unbelievable in terms of just what a live wire the guy is.
Yeah.
I mean, even, there was one spring practice where somebody, I think it might have been Jahvari Ritzy, mistakenly hit the quarterback, because you're not supposed to touch quarterbacks, obviously. So he was getting punished with push-ups. Jeff Collins right down there doing push-ups with him. I mean, he is I cannot believe I'm about to say this, but Ronald Reagan's trickle-down economics. It's trickling down.
What a lesson. What a lesson for people.
Not to get political, of course.
No, that's an economic thing.
It's trickling down from the top, I would say. I mean, it's hard not to, get excited about what they got going on. And those guys, the defensive players at UNC have sort of taken to everything he's doing. Mac Brown said it one day, and he meant it politely and complimentarily, but he's like, he comes in every morning like he's on pills, and he meant that in a good way, not in a bad way. So, and again, as you and I have talked, I mean, all you have to do is, if you improve on defense at UNC, you're going from bad to average.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of room for improvement. I mean, this defense was, I think, 116th nationally in 2022 and 95th last year, and they won a bunch of games, overcoming the defense. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air to be able to depend on those guys to produce.
Adam Smith. There will be another conversation in the future. I know that for a fact. Jules Winfield was the character's name I could not come up with off the top of my head, and I'm embarrassed because Pulp Fiction is one of my all-time favorite movies. Adam Smith, one of my all-time favorite people. At Adam_Smith_IC inside Carolina. My friend, I will talk to you soon.
Much appreciated. I once wrote a term paper on Pulp Fiction in college to just show you how old I am.
Wow. That's like getting away with like not doing work.
It was about what was in Marcellus Wallace's briefcase. And back then in the 90s, this was like cutting edge type stuff.
What do you think it was?
The internet was new.
I got a second. What do you think it was?
I think it was his soul.
Soul.
I think it was his soul because, well, I mean, I only wrote this paper 30 years ago, but if you notice, there is one shot early in the movie, I believe, where you see Ving Rhames from the back, and he has a Band-Aid across the back of his neck.
Yes.
And that is a way in which, what's the word? Not in mythology, souls have been extracted. So when they open up the briefcase, when Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson open up the briefcase and it's glowing and everybody says, is that what I think it is? My argument in the term paper was that it's Marcellus Wallace's soul. I would love to be able to pull it up for you. I'm sure it's on a floppy disk somewhere.
Vincent Vega and Jules Winfield, the couriers in that case. Adam, thank you so much, man.
Great talking to you. You guys have a good one.
You too. Holy cow. What people who listen to the show understand.
I love it.
It happens.
It does. It's fantastic.
It absolutely happens. All right, speaking of happening, Chip Patterson on the ACC. Who disappointed us this week? Remember we talked about that on Friday? We'll check in with Chip next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's NFL Week 3. It's here, and you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you are new to FanDuel, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager. Hey, Thursday Night Football, never too early to talk about the Patriots and Jets. Ramondre Stevenson, anytime touchdown. Breece Hall, over rushing yards. Aaron Rodgers, over passing yards. FanDuel.com/AGS. Make every moment more with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
I am Bruno Hinojosa and I live in Asheville. I work in construction and I just enrolled in NC Medicaid. I went to their website, applied, and got covered. Doctor visits, yearly checkups, and even emergency care if I need it. Being a business owner can be stressful at times, but knowing that I got covered, it just takes weight off my shoulders. And I can get the care that I need when I need it at low or no cost. And it's one less thing I need to worry about now.
NC Medicaid is for more people. See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov.
ACT Construction Equipment is proud to be your certified local Takeuchi dealer in Charlotte, Winston-Salem, Asheville, Wilmington, and Myrtle Beach. Takeuchi has long been a world leader in the compact construction industry. Let ACT Construction Equipment help you find the right machine for the job. Our full line of excavators, track loaders, and attachments are designed for low maintenance and high productivity. Visit us online at actce.com to schedule a demo. ACT Construction Equipment, your authorized Takeuchi dealer.
Some call it overplanning. At Alternative Power, we call it foresight. Be prepared for the next power outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Generac, it's not just a generator, it's a power move. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
Since the pandemic, life expectancy in our state has declined, and Cone Health is pledging millions of dollars and countless man-hours to address health disparities in medically underserved areas of the state. We'll talk with Dr. Olujegede, who is helping to lead Cone Health's Catch 5 in 5 initiative. The North Carolina Healthcare Association and the North Carolina News Network invite you to learn more on this month's Conversations on the State of Healthcare, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold, Victoria. It's a burger day.
I had no idea there were so many burger songs.
Oh well. It is the National Cheeseburger Day?
Yeah.
I know now. I know what's for dinner.
Exactly.
We have been a little bit on a burger run of late.
Yes.
So that might not be what.
It's not a bad idea.
What my better half and my son want for tonight.
But,
I
know. I mean, there's a bunch of deals out there apparently.
Maybe that's where we head. All right. College football. Look, we've talked about Bryce Young to death the last couple of days. So let's dig into a little bit about college football. Chip Patterson, Cover 3 podcast, CBSSports.com. I want to delve into the ACC. On Friday, we talked about which ACC team is going to disappoint this weekend. Well, State tried, but ultimately won. FSU? There's a different story. So what gives with the Seminoles, Chip? They're 0-3. Haven't lost to a team that will likely challenge for a playoff spot. They've lost 2 of those games at home, and they haven't looked good in any of them. What gives?
One, they're banged up. Like, they are down to more or less tackle number 5 and tackle number 6. On the Cover 3 podcast, Bud Elliott, who's got his pulse on all the minutia of Florida State,
right,
was like, I would not bet this one way or the other unless you were on the field watching warm-ups. If these guys do warm up, then this line's too little. Florida State should be able to get right. They should be able to run the ball. If these guys don't warm up, well, then Memphis might be live to win the game outright. They are dealing with really, really big issues along the offensive line. They also are injured at the running back position. Their wide receivers are underdeveloped and have not hit. They just are not good. The thing you said first is correct, though. Memphis is good.
Yeah.
Memphis is good. Here, let me see. Memphis is good that if you dropped them in the ACC, they would be at like a Virginia Tech Cal level. Nobody would make an argument that they were up there competing with Miami and Louisville and Clemson. But if you dropped this Memphis team into the ACC, they'd be maybe the 5th best team in the conference. And so Florida State is not. Florida State might be the 10th best team in the conference.
Gosh.
That's what they are.
This is coming at a bad time for Florida State. Although the ACC has thrown them a bone, I don't know how much you want to get into this part of the conversation because I know it's not necessarily your wheelhouse. I know you have thoughts. But when I looked at and read all the reporting on this, And this, for people who are just tuning in, there's a negotiation apparently between the league and both Florida State and Clemson, and it will obviously have to incorporate the rest of the league too, to kind of revamp the revenue distribution to give Florida State and Clemson, the schools that carry the flag financially in terms of television interest for football, give them a little bit more money. But it's going to bring basketball into this equation as well. In this whole thing, which also includes apparently the ending of the grant of rights 6 years earlier than we know is true in 2036. Doesn't it also have to open up television negotiations or end the television deal? How do you have your grant of rights end 6 years before the television package ends? How does ESPN sign off on that?
I can only assume that ESPN is very much a part of this.
Right.
Obviously not privy at all to ESPN's position, but my understanding, even I think it's been said publicly, is that the additions of Cal, Stanford, and SMU did not receive blessing up and down the leadership structure. It has created a financial situation for the ACC where they could do the success initiatives. And the way that I read this proposal is that everyone takes a haircut in order of their guaranteed money in order to create another pot for ratings-based initiatives. So you're continually creating this environment where in a true meritocracy, anybody could get some of these pots. But in the real world, it is created to have a fast pass to a bigger payday for these big brands that generate revenue and generate ratings for the conference. In terms of moving up the grant of rights, I tend to read this one as a concession that there might be a huge seismic change when all of the other TV rights come up.
Right.
We've talked about this before. Was it 29, 30, 32? Like it brings the Atlantic Coast Conference more in line with what might be a massive restructuring of college football at the highest levels when we head into the 2030s.
Yeah, and I think we will have a massive restructuring of college football. So, I kind of joked, ending the grant of rights in 2030, we might not get to 2030 before the whole thing blows up anyway. We might have a completely different system by 2027 for all we know. that's just the way I look at it. I think we're careening towards something like that. So also, if according to these reports, like the league is negotiating with ESPN now because the ACC network has been financially successful for ESPN and the league. It's why the ACC distributed almost $45 million to all member institutions at the end of not this past season, but the season before. That number is going to go up. So I can see where ESPN might look at this as, hey, this has been good, and we think it's going to get better, and we want the ACC to be successful and viable. So they kind of control maybe how that looks. So I'm probably more optimistic now about the future of the league, at least in the current environment, than I ever have been, especially since everything I know about these lawsuits say the ACC's got the upper hand, and I think they're kind of extending an olive branch, even though this was a Clemson and Florida State proposal.
That happened a while ago. That's an important detail here.
This offer from Clemson and Florida State?
This is a revisiting of a discussion at spring meetings in 2023.
Right.
And I do think that some of the storytelling around this has been maybe not making that as clear.
Oh, okay.
And I think that Florida State and Clemson, I don't know. We'll see. Look, here's the best way to describe this is to put yourself in the position of Syracuse, which is if you enter into a world where things, tumble and Florida State, Clemson decide to pay their way out of the league. Maybe more follow. Everything sort of goes thrown into chaos. Well, now you're left with a valuation that's probably closer to an American Athletic Conference team. And if you're dealing with a valuation closer to an American Athletic Conference team, then you're probably going to get an American Athletic Conference type payout, which is somewhere around the, I think, 10 million mark. So would you be willing to drop from 45 million to 35 million in order to guarantee that you avoid total chaos and being left with something much less? And that is the discussion. And I don't know if this was a trial balloon for university presidents who are famously not emotional with their thinking. I don't know if I don't understand leaking this story the way they did right now, but we'll see.
All right, let's get to some football matters. State at Clemson. Clemson thumped App, took the week off after that. Clemson hadn't played a close game yet. They got thumped by Georgia, thumped App. By the way, I love the App ECU game. Was super fun to watch over the weekend. Most fun I've had watching.
Not a clean game.
No, it was ugly. Look, I am not one of those people who worships at the altar of every college football game. Most college football games are scratchy. Right? There are very few college football games where I go, oh my gosh, the level of football here was amazing. But it was competitive. There was a massive mood. So I loved the game. NC State Clemson. We're going to find out what I shouldn't even say that because they could go to Clemson and get thumped, and I don't know that says that CJ Bailey is not right. But I mean, this is a stage. The comeback was great, but that was Louisiana Tech, and it was your home crowd. Now you're going to Death Valley, and I still think Clemson has a point to prove to a lot of people. What is NC State in for?
If NC State can't block, they're in trouble.
Right.
I mean, I know Clemson's a little bit banged up at linebacker. I know that they've got a couple of issues along the defensive line. They still have game wreckers that are going to be a problem for an NC State offensive line that has not played with the kind of consistency that you would hope for, especially given that group's experience and seemingly, where they are in their development. If they can't block, then I guess you're glad that CJ Bailey can make some plays, but man, that's going to be tough for a young quarterback on the road going up against this Clemson defensive front if you're not getting dynamic play from your offensive line, because all those downfield throws that CJ Bailey was making during the comeback against Louisiana Tech, you are simply not going to have time to make those throws if you are not able to keep Clemson's defensive front at bay. On the other side, it is 100% a great test for whether or not we are going to buy into Clemson's offense. Because you mentioned the differing levels of what we have seen. Okay, maybe that was Georgia. Okay, but maybe that was App State. And I think that NC State, because they are so well coached, are going to be a very good harbinger of what's to come for Clemson's offense. Because Clemson does have more talent than almost every single team in the ACC and certainly most of the teams on the ACC schedule. But that talent advantage does not help them be able to overcome a defense like Tony Gibson's, which has led to NC State victories in 2 out of the last 3 times that these teams have met, which has not helped them when they played Lance Guidry in Miami last year, and they were kept in check by a Hurricanes defense that was limiting what they were able to do. So a great, we actually just mentioned this before we got started on the Cover 3 podcast. Bud Elliott described it as a one-way read. He says, I don't know if win or lose, my opinion changes on NC State. I think that no matter what happens, my opinion will change on Clemson. And so that's the national perspective.
By the way, Clemson is a 20.5-point favorite today. 20.5.
I know.
That is a staggering number based on what we thought about the Wolfpack going into the season. All right, we only have a couple of minutes left, so I want to roll through some games here. UNC, incredible deceptive scoreline, 45-10 for a game that was 17-10 entering the fourth quarter against Central. JMU, I don't know that they're vintage JMU. Tar Heels are a 10.5-point favorite at home. What's the danger here for the Tar Heels?
Losing.
They could lose the game. Yeah, absolutely.
Losing. Do you think Jacoby Criswell's starting?
Yes, I do. I don't believe that Mac Brown's going to. I mean, he could use two quarterbacks in this game if they have a lead to give create a change of pace. But I didn't believe that Mac Brown was going to use two quarterbacks in the opener, and I don't believe he'll use two quarterbacks here.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Jacoby comes in and things finally start to click. I don't know if it was he knows exactly, this set of, what he wants to do. It is nothing. Duke's in the same position against Middle Tennessee. Like one of my new exercises has been to take every FBS and FBS game and just come up with a one-liner.
Right.
And one-liner for UNC JMU. Nothing good can happen for UNC. One-liner on Duke Middle Tennessee. Nothing good can happen for Duke. It is, and especially because they're playing each other next week, right?
Right.
Like all they need to do is to preserve the 0 in the loss column by any means necessary. JMU, coached by Bob Chesney, is good enough to win in Chapel Hill. Chesney was very, very good at Holy Cross, and while they lost half their roster and their whole staff, JMU is still good enough to win that game if North Carolina doesn't play to its abilities. So it ain't a must-win, but it is a can't-lose for the Tar Heels and the Blue Devils.
Yeah. All right. Now, is Miami in a spot at South Florida, who gave Alabama everything for 3 quarters in Tuscaloosa?
100%.
Is this the Mario Cristobal game here?
I hope not. I mean, that would be very disappointing. I mean, I guess it would be great for our friend Michael Kelly, right?
Right, absolutely.
For the North Carolina resident South Florida Bulls athletics department fans, or Byron Brown from Raleigh. Their dynamic dual threat quarterback who's been very good. I think that right now Miami and Texas A&M are being propped up by beating Florida in the swamp, and Florida might be awful.
Yeah.
And we are going to find out over the next couple of weeks for both of those teams whether their dominance is reflective of how good they are or whether Florida is just an absolute tire fire.
Yeah.
Toxic fumes and all.
Does the state of the 2 state schools in Florida, 2 big state schools in Florida, although Central Florida is actually bigger than both, Florida State and Florida, they don't have any wins, right?
Florida beat Samford.
Oh, I'm sorry, they beat Samford. The Seminoles are just 2.5-point favorites at home to Cal. I present that without any editorial comment.
Cal won at Auburn. Cal has one of the best non-conference wins in the whole Atlantic Coast Conference.
I'm with you.
And look, the Florida State is not gifted enough offensively to overwhelm anybody. And so what they're doing in the Memphis game, in the Georgia Tech game, and maybe not in the Boston College game, because Boston College just kind of ran them over. And that was just like embarrassing.
Yep.
But the Memphis game and the Georgia Tech game just show that Florida State's going to be left playing coin flips. And the problem is that coin flip Cal is built for that kind of game. So congratulations, Florida State. You are left to just out there playing coin flips.
Awesome. Always fun to catch up with Chip Patterson. In our remaining minute, the Baltimore Orioles have designated for assignment reliever Craig Kimbrell, who at one time was, absolutely as elite a late-inning reliever as you're going to find, mostly with Atlanta, but has had some good years, kind of sporadically over the last, say, 10. But he has been awful the last couple of years. He was awful for the Orioles. So they have rid themselves of Craig Kimbrell. They're going to make playoffs in spite of it. Meanwhile, Atlanta, you got to win. Right now, Atlanta is 2 games behind the Mets and Diamondbacks in the loss column. I said a few weeks ago, I think both the Braves and the Mets could get in, even though I didn't think the Mets would make it. Looks more and more like they have a very good chance. At Arizona's expense, Braves in the three-way between those three teams actually have the best record against New York and Arizona. Now Atlanta's just got to make it stick. Victoria, thank you very much. We're at Canes training camp tomorrow.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here, and it is last